Good morning, beloved friend. The world is quiet now, the kind of quiet that belongs only to dawn. The air still carries the coolness of night, and the first strands of light reach across the sky like gentle fingers awakening creation. Somewhere, a bird begins its hesitant song, and the rhythm of a new day slowly begins to form. In this sacred hour, before the world fully stirs, your soul has found its way here not by accident, but by divine invitation. Maybe you woke with the weight of something unspoken pressing on your chest. Maybe you have been carrying questions that refuse to sleep about loss, about purpose, about the future that feels blurry at the edges. You might have stood at the kitchen sink this morning, staring out the window at a horizon that seems too far away, whispering words like, "God, are you still near?" Perhaps you have not whispered at all because silence felt safer than disappointment. I once met a woman who used to rise every morning before sunrise to sit on her porch, holding a cup of coffee that grew cold in her hands. Her husband had passed away suddenly the year before, and she said mornings were the hardest because they used to talk about everything while the world was still half asleep. Now, she said, I just listen to the birds, to the wind, to the quiet and hope that somehow God is still speaking. One day she told me she began to whisper again, not with practiced prayers, but with the small honesty of a breaking heart. It was not dramatic, she said, just the beginning of sound after a long silence. That is the miracle of these hours. Before schedules begin, before noise and news invade, there is a doorway in time, a thin place between night and day where heaven feels closer. In that stillness, your pain does not have to be hidden, and your hope does not have to be perfect. It simply has to exist. This is where prayer is born not as performance, but as breath, not as a list of demands, but as a conversation that begins where words fail. What if this morning could be different? What if, instead of rushing toward the day with anxiety and exhaustion, you paused and turned inward? What if the very heaviness that woke you could become the seed of breakthrough? Faith, after all, rarely arrives in thunder. It whispers in the stillness of surrender. Every sunrise carries a message. Yesterday did not win. There is still mercy left for today. As we begin this journey together, I invite you to let the morning light fall upon your spirit. Breathe slowly. Release what you can carry. Let your heart unclench. These moments before the world begins are not empty, they are holy. The same God who paints the sky with new color each dawn is reaching toward you right now, ready to meet you not as a stranger, but as a friend who already knows the language of your soul. This is where the conversation begins, not in grandeur, but in quiet honesty. Here, under the first light of day, every sigh becomes sacred, every tear becomes prayer, and every breath becomes worship. So let us step gently into this morning, ready to listen, ready to speak, ready to be changed by the one who never sleeps. The dawn has come, and with it, the invitation to begin again. Dear Heavenly Father, this morning I come to you with the first breath of the day, still hanging in the air. The world outside is quiet, and the sky holds that pale, tender light that lives between darkness and sunrise. My heart feels the weight of night, the residue of dreams, the ache that lingers after too many thoughts have traveled too far. Yet even in this heaviness I sense your nearness, like a soft wind pressing gently against my chest, reminding me that I am still here and you are still good. You know the corners of my heart that I cannot reach, the ones where fear has settled like dust. You know how I wake sometimes with a tightness I cannot name, how the hours before dawn carry whispers of questions that refuse to be quiet. I bring those whispers to you now. I bring the worries I have not spoken aloud, the grief that hides behind my small smiles, the fatigue that disguises itself as strength. You do not flinch at any of it. You meet me in the raw, unguarded places, where I am more truth than pretense. The night tried to convince me that I was alone, but the morning tells another story. In this stillness, I remember that you watched me, even when I could not pray, that your presence stood beside my bed while I turned restlessly. I remember that you are not distant or demanding. You are the steady rhythm under every breath, the pulse that keeps me alive when I forget how to keep moving. I am not coming to impress you. I am coming to be honest with you, to lay down the armor I built in yesterday's battles. I confess that I have doubted your timing. I have stared at closed doors and called them punishment instead of protection. I have tried to carry burdens that were never mine to hold. I have worn pride like a shield because vulnerability felt too risky. Yet here, beneath this soft light, I see how small my defenses are. They cannot keep out pain, and they cannot keep out grace. I lay them down one by one. The fear of not being enough, the guilt of past mistakes, the exhaustion of always striving. Let them fall from my hands, Lord, so that something new can take their place. Teach me again what it means to trust you before I understand you. Teach me that faith is not the absence of doubt, but the decision to keep walking even while questions follow behind. My heart does not need perfection this morning. It needs peace. It needs the quiet assurance that you are working in the unseen, that nothing in this hour is wasted, not even the waiting. Help me see that darkness is not the opposite of your light, but the soil where it begins to grow. I thank you for this fragile beginning, for the chance to start again. The world outside will soon awaken with noise and demand, but for now, it is just you and me. I ask that you would make this sacred hush-hush a home for my soul. Let every inhale remind me of your mercy, and every exhale release the residue of yesterday. Let my heart slow down enough to notice the miracle of being alive, the gift of another sunrise, the gentle proof that you have not forgotten me. You know the battles that wait beyond this quiet. You know the conversations that will test my patience, the choices that will stretch my courage, the thoughts that will tempt me back into worry. Go before me into all of it. Walk the path I cannot see. Turn my fear into focus, my confusion into curiosity, my frustration into compassion. Let the weight of your presence steady me when the day begins to press against my chest. When I am tempted to believe that my prayers are too small to matter, remind me that you count every one. You hold the smallest sigh as if it were a song. You bottle every tear as if it were oil for healing. You listen not because I have the right words, but because I am yours. Let that truth rest deeper in me than any anxiety. Let it silence the lie that says I am unseen. And when I walk through the hours ahead, let me carry the calm of this morning like a secret flame. Let it glow quietly beneath my words and decisions, a reminder that no matter what unfolds, I began this day in your presence. I do not need to have all the answers. I only need to remember where my beginning was. You are my beginning. You are the still point when everything else moves too fast. So I lift my eyes toward the window and watch as light grows stronger. The shadows shrink back, and the air changes its tone. Somewhere inside me, faith stirs again, not loud but steady, not triumphant but true. It tells me that what was broken can be mended, that what felt lost can still be found, that even in the middle of uncertainty, love has already chosen to stay. Father, keep me in this awareness. Let it follow me through every hallway, every conversation, every quiet space between tasks. Let my life today be an echo of this early hour, a small yes whispered into your vastness, a trust renewed with each breath I take. Let my steps align with the rhythm of your grace, unhurried and unwavering. The morning has come, and with it, another chance to believe again, to rise again, to see the light as a promise and not just a routine. I am here, and so are you. And that is enough for now. Lord, the morning feels different today. The sky is open wider. The air carries a faint hum of life returning, and my heart still trembles somewhere between gratitude and H. I remember the stillness of yesterday and how your presence wrapped around me like early light. Yet as I stand here again, I feel the familiar pull of weight, the unspoken truths, the thoughts that hover just beyond courage. I know you see them already, but something in me needs to speak them aloud, to strip away the polished prayers and let honesty breathe. Father, I am tired of pretending that everything inside me is steady. I have smiled through storms I did not understand, and I have told myself to be strong when all I wanted was permission to break. I come to you not as someone who has figured out faith, but as someone who is still learning how to hold it without crushing it. You said the truth would set me free, and perhaps the first truth I must face is how deeply I long for freedom from fear, from expectation, from the pressure to appear unshaken. There are memories that rise like shadows in the half-light, moments that replay without warning, the words I wish I had not said, the chances I wish I had taken, the people I could not keep. I bring them all here to you, not to justify or erase them, but to name them. Because when they stay hidden, they grow heavier. When I silence them, they whisper louder. So here I am, Lord, speaking what I once buried, the disappointment that still stings, the loneliness that catches me off guard, the sense of not belonging that has followed me like a quiet echo. You are not surprised by my confession. You are not offended by my weakness. You are the same God who met Hannah when her voice trembled in the temple, the same God who listened when David poured out his anguish in the wilderness. I do not have to dress my sorrow in poetic lines for you to understand it. You read the meaning behind every broken sentence. You hear the prayer beneath the silence. Help me unlearn the habit of hiding. Teach me that it is not a lack of faith to weep in your presence. Teach me that tears are not defeat but release, that the sound of my trembling does not make you turn away but draws you closer. Let my honesty become worship. Let every word I whisper in weakness become an offering you receive with tenderness. I have spent so much time trying to fix myself before coming to you, believing you only wanted my polished version, the one that smiles and says it is fine. But you are not impressed by composure. You desire the truth, even when it shakes. So I offer you my shaking. I offer you the heart that keeps cycling through hope and hesitation. Take it as it is, Lord, and hold it steady in your hands. Sometimes I think faith is not a leap, but a confession. It is saying, I do not have it all together, but I still choose to come. It is whispering your name through tears and trusting that you will answer, not with thunder, but with peace that quietly settles inside the storm. I have tried to carry my questions like armor, but maybe they are keys instead, keys that open deeper rooms of understanding, rooms where I can finally rest instead of resist. So I speak to you now, Father, as one who no longer wants to hide behind composure. The H is real, but so is your compassion. The fear is loud, but so is your promise. I ask you to meet me in this middle place where faith is small but sincere. Let your mercy pour over every anxious thought until it no longer has the power to name me. Replace the tightness in my chest with breath that feels like freedom. Replace the guilt with gentle conviction that restores rather than condemns. You are the God who bends low to listen. You do not demand perfection before you draw near. You are already here, sitting with me in this fragile morning. I can almost feel your stillness pressing against mine. The steady heartbeat of a love that does not rush me, that does not scold my slowness to heal. You wait with patience that outlasts my panic. You hold space for my becoming. Let this honesty be enough for now. Let my words, simple and unfiltered, rise like incense through the cool air. Let them reach you without translation. I do not know what transformation will follow. I only know that something shifts each time I dare to tell you the truth. My voice may tremble, but it is still reaching upward, still believing that you are not only the God of miracles, but the God who stays when nothing miraculous happens. The horizon outside is softening into color again, and I take it as a sign that you are still painting beauty over everything I bring. My broken sentences, my raw emotions, my half-formed prayers, they are all being rewritten by your mercy. I stand here, unguarded, not fixed but found, not fearless but seen. If honesty is the beginning of healing, then let this morning be my start. Let this cry, naked and unadorned, be the sound of my soul remembering how to breathe. God, you know how my words have stumbled these past mornings. You have heard every unfiltered cry and quiet confession I barely had the strength to form. And yet, even in the weight of what still lingers, there is a stirring I can't quite name, a slow, steady breath that reminds me not everything is lost. As the silence settles again, I find myself drawn to remember, not to relive pain, but to rescue hope that has been buried beneath it. You have walked with me through places I never thought I would survive. You have stood guard over seasons where I could barely lift my head. I think back now not because I want to return to those days, because somehow they carry a thread that still leads to you. You were there in moments I thought you had forgotten me. You were present in the cracks, in the pauses, in the sleepless hours where I whispered into nothing, and yet something in me still believed. Father, help me trace the lines of mercy written into my past. Help me remember the unexpected comfort that came when I needed it most, the text I did not expect, the friend who showed up without knowing why, the quiet moment when I felt peace without reason. These were not accidents. They were answers. Tiny miracles that did not ask for applause, but marked my path with light. Let me honor them by remembering. There were prayers I once prayed that I thought you ignored. I cried out for things I never received, and for a long time, I carried that as evidence of silence. But now, in the clarity of morning, I see pieces I missed before. You were not punishing me with delay. You were protecting me from what I could not see, preparing me for what I could not hold yet. The no was never the absence of love. It was love. Redirected. It was timing, not denial. You have been patient with my forgetfulness. In my need to survive, I have often edited the past to highlight only the pain. But today, I want to tell the full story, the one where you rescued, where you provided just enough, where you held me together even when everything else was falling apart. You deserve that truth to be told, not just to others, but to me. My own heart needs to remember what you have done. I remember the night I could not sleep because anxiety wrapped around my chest like chains. I remember how I sat alone in the dark, knees pulled close, and whispered, God, I do not know what to do. I did not expect an answer. I barely had faith to hope for one. But out of nowhere came stillness, like a hand on my back. No words, no visions, just enough peace to breathe again. That moment may not have changed the situation, but it changed me, and that was enough. You have never demanded perfection from me. You have never asked me to clean up the story before sharing it with you. What you have asked is remembrance, not as a performance, but as a posture, a way to anchor myself in something stronger than current fears. When I look back with open eyes, I see you, not always in the way I wanted, but always in the way I needed. Help me build a quiet altar from these memories. Not a monument of pain, but a testimony of presence. Let each memory become a stone that tells the truth. I was not abandoned, I was held. I was not forgotten, I was carried. These are not just stories. They are lifelines for the days when I start to sink again. Teach me to rehearse your faithfulness more than I replay my regrets. Let my inner dialogue shift from why did not it work out to look what God has already done. Let me stop measuring your goodness by my outcomes and start recognizing it in your unwavering nearness. You are the same God who brought me through then, and you will do it again. I do not need to manufacture hope today. I just need to remember. That is how faith grows. Is not it? Not by pretending everything is fine, but by tracing the fingerprints of grace across seasons I thought were barren. I do not need to wait for a new miracle to believe in you. I have already lived through ones I did not understand at the time. The sun has begun to stretch longer across the window, and in this soft light, I let memory do its sacred work. I walk back through the hallway of my own story, not to reopen wounds, but to find where you left signs of healing. You were there when I lost the job and thought my worth went with it. You were there when the friendship unraveled and left a hollow space. You were there when the diagnosis came and fear knocked the wind from my lungs. You were there, not fixing everything, but refusing to leave. Let me be someone who remembers well. Let me not rush past the roots of trust just because the fruit has not come yet. Let me dig deep into remembrance so that when doubt rises, it finds no home. Let me write down the moments I almost forgot, the small, daily graces that saved me quietly. And when I feel adrift again, let these become the map that brings me back. You have not changed, Lord. Even when everything else has shifted, you remain the same. And if you were faithful in what was, you will be faithful in what is and what will be. That is the thread I will hold today. That is the lifeline I will grip when my strength fails. That is the echo I will follow when silence surrounds me. So I breathe deeply again and let gratitude rise, not the loud kind that needs music and noise, but the quiet kind that sits in the bones and whispers. I remember, you were good, you are good, and because of that, I can step into this day with open hands, no longer asking for proof, just willing to believe again. Let memory lead me into peace. Let peace lead me into trust. And let trust carry me into whatever this day may hold. Father, as I sit with the memories you have awakened in me, something shifts quietly inside. Gratitude has opened the door, and now trust steps in, not as a sudden burst of light, but as a gentle resolve rising beneath the surface. I do not pretend that every question has been answered or every fear erased, but I feel the weight of worry beginning to loosen its grip. The past has reminded me of your presence. And now, I want to choose that presence in the places I still do not understand. Trust does not come easily to me. I have learned how to brace for impact, how to scan the horizon for warning signs, how to calculate every possible outcome in an attempt to avoid disappointment. But you are asking something different. You are inviting me to step out from the shore of control into the deeper waters of surrender. You are not demanding blind belief. You are gently asking for willingness, a choice to stay close, even when clarity has not yet come. Lord, I know what it feels like to grip the edges of my life too tightly. I know how quickly peace disappears when I start reaching for control. It is not that I want to run ahead of you, but that waiting sometimes feels unbearable. The silence can make me nervous. The pause between the prayer and the answer stretches longer than I thought I could endure. But here in this quiet hour, with the sky still holding its early hush, I want to loosen my fists. Help me let go of what I cannot change. Help me stop rehearsing every possible outcome and start resting in the truth that you are already present in what I cannot see. You do not operate on panic. You are not swayed by urgency or pressure. You move with wisdom, with perfect timing, and with love that sees beyond the moment. So today, I choose to trust not because I feel brave, but because I know you are trustworthy. There are decisions in front of me that feel too big, paths I cannot yet see clearly. I bring them to you now. I do not need the full map. I just need enough light for the next step. Help me stop waiting for certainty and start walking by faith. Let trust be my compass. Even when the road curves, let peace be my guide. Even when I do not know where it leads, let obedience be my answer. Even when I wish you would explain more, I confess that I have often equated trust with understanding. I have believed that if you loved me, you would show me everything at once. But love does not always give explanation. Sometimes it gives presence instead. You walk beside me in the dark and ask me to follow not because the path is clear, but because you are here. That is what I want to cling to this morning, not a plan. A person, not a solution. A savior, God. There are things I laid at your feet yesterday that I am tempted to pick back up today. The burdens I claimed to surrender still call for my attention. The fears I named still whisper in quieter tones. Teach me how to leave what I have given you. Teach me that trust is not a one-time decision, but a daily practice. Every time anxiety rises, let it become an invitation to return to your arms, to breathe deeply, and to remember who holds the outcome. You have never failed me. Maybe not everything turned out the way I hoped, but you have always been faithful. You have carried me through storms, through silence, through seasons of stretching that felt like breaking, and each time, I came out with deeper roots, even when I did not realize they were growing. So I look back not to dwell, but to remind myself, you were good then, and you are good now. Help me stop measuring the size of my problems and start meditating on the strength of your promises. Your word is not fragile. It does not shift with my emotions. It stands steady when everything else trembles. Let it be the ground beneath my feet, the voice that quiets my doubts, the fire that warms me when I feel cold inside. Remind me that trust is not passive, it is active surrender. It is not the absence of thought, it is the direction of it. I open my hands again, this time more freely. I lay down the timelines I tried to control, the relationships I could not fix, the outcomes I feared would fall apart. I give you what already belongs to you. And even if nothing changes today on the outside, I ask you to shift the weight inside. Let trust rise like breath, like light through a cloudy sky. Let it anchor me in the middle of what is still becoming. Lord, I know I cannot see what you see. You are writing a story far beyond this single page. But I am part of it, and that is enough. You have not abandoned the plot. You have not forgotten the promises. You are not pacing in heaven trying to figure out what comes next. You already know, and you are already moving. That is what I choose to believe, even when I do not feel it yet. So I walk forward this morning with open eyes, not to spot danger, but to notice your presence. I step gently, not out of fear, but out of reverence for the one who goes before me. And when doubt knocks again, I will remember this moment, the quiet resolve that was born in the dark, the decision to trust even without guarantees, the peace that did not wait for circumstances to change. You are the God who led the Israelites through a sea they could not cross. You are the God who closed the mouths of lions. You are the God who raised dry bones to life. If you could do that then, you can handle what I am facing now. My fear may sound loud, but your faithfulness has a longer echo. Let that echo carry me, Let it speak louder than the questions that try to return. Let it remind me that I am not alone, not forgotten, not drifting. I am held. I am guided. I am watched over by a Father who sees the whole picture and chooses to walk each line of it beside me. That is why I can breathe today. That is why I can choose trust again. Not because the road is easy, but because the one walking with me is enough. And if I find myself trembling again tomorrow, if doubt creeps in through a crack I did not expect, I know now where to go. Back to this stillness, back to this breath, back to this choice that trust is not reserved for the fearless, but for the honest. And I am here, Lord, honest and choosing, not because I have to, but because in the quiet of this morning, I see no better way than to place my hand in yours and whisper, once again, I trust you, Lord. As I sit quietly in this unfolding morning, I can feel the echo of what trust has begun to awaken inside me. The air is still cool, the world just beginning to stir, and in this in-between space, there is a pull deeper into honesty. Trust has opened my hands, but repentance opens my heart. It is not a word I have always loved. It once felt heavy, wrapped in guilt and punishment. But here, in your presence, it sounds different. It feels like breath returning after holding it too long. It feels like coming home. Father, I realize now that repentance is not about shame. It is about release. It is the moment I stop defending what has broken me. It is the grace to say, I was wrong, without fear of rejection. I have spent too many mornings trying to justify my silence, my impatience, my anger, and the small ways I have closed myself off from you. But you have not asked for explanations. You have asked for truth. And truth, though sharp, always sets me free. There are habits I have allowed to live quietly in me, thoughts I have excused, bitterness I have fed, self-protection I have mistaken for wisdom. I bring them now, without disguise. You already know them, Lord, but somehow naming them before you helps me see them for what they are. They are chains that look like comfort. They are walls that pretend to keep me safe, but only keep me isolated. I do not want to decorate my prisons anymore. I want to walk out of them. Teach me that repentance is not a one-time act, but a rhythm of returning. It is not a single tear or a solemn vow. It is the ongoing decision to turn my face toward your light again and again. Each time I notice how far I have drifted, you invite me back not with accusation, but with tenderness. You do not scold me for forgetting. You celebrate that I have remembered. You do not punish me for being lost. You rejoice that I have been found. God, forgive me for the small compromises that have dulled my spirit. Forgive me for the pride that keeps me from admitting when I am wrong. Forgive me for choosing distraction over devotion, for chasing validation instead of purpose. I know these things do not separate me from your love, but they keep me from seeing it clearly. They cloud my vision, and I am tired of living in the fog. Wash me clean not to erase who I have been, but to uncover who I am in you. Let your mercy rinse the dust of failure from my soul. Let it run through my thoughts, my words, my motives, until all that remains is honesty. I do not want to carry pretense into this new day. I want to begin it lighter, freer, open to the kind of transformation that does not depend on perfection. You are not a distant judge watching for mistakes. You are a healer reaching into the wounds that I keep hidden. You touch what hurts, not to expose it, but to restore it. You remind me that conviction is never condemnation, it is invitation. You do not press down, you lift up. You call me to look at my reflection, not through the eyes of failure, but through the lens of redemption. Help me to see repentance as beauty. Help me to see it as the turning of soil in a garden, making room for something new to grow. My heart, though wary, is still fertile ground, and your forgiveness is the rain that softens it, so pour gently. Lord, let the places I have hardened become soft again. Let the places I have closed become open to your voice. Let the roots of grace go deeper than regret. There are people I have hurt without realizing. There are words I wish I could pull back, and moments I should have listened instead of speaking. Teach me how to make things right, not to earn your favor, but to reflect it. Give me courage to apologize where pride wants to stay silent. Give me humility to forgive even when apologies never come. Let repentance shape how I love others, not just how I speak to you. You know how often I have carried guilt like a heavy coat, wearing it as proof of sincerity. But guilt does not change me. Grace does. And your grace is not fragile. It can handle the weight of my past and still call me by my true name. You have never been surprised by my weakness. You knew every failure before it happened, and you still chose to love me beyond it. That kind of mercy humbles me more than any punishment ever could. This morning, I surrender the version of myself that relies on performance. I release the need to appear flawless before you. I come as I am, imperfect, inconsistent, and in need of renewal. And you, in your kindness, meet me not with distance, but with delight. You remind me that repentance is not crawling back to the beginning, but stepping forward into becoming. It is not losing ground. It is gaining truth. Let your spirit be the quiet teacher of my soul today. When I begin to drift, whisper gently, come back. When I start to justify instead of confess, remind me that your love is big enough for honesty. When I grow numb to conviction, awaken me again, not through fear, but through the longing to stay close to you. As the sun climbs higher, I feel its warmth on my skin, and I think of how repentance feels the same at first exposing, then healing. The light reveals what I would rather hide, but it also reveals what can still bloom. I want to live in that light. I want to let it reshape my thoughts, refine my motives, and renew my voice. Lord, let repentance be my language today. Let my words, my choices, and my silence all speak of returning. Let the world around me sense not perfection, but peace, the kind that only comes when a heart is right with its Creator. And if I stumble, let me stumble toward you. If I fall, let it be into mercy. If I speak, let it be truth born from a heart that has learned the sacred rhythm of turning back and finding love waiting every single time. God, it is in this gentle stillness, after repentance has cleared the air, that I find myself at the edge of something even deeper. The weight of yesterday has been lifted, but now I feel the gravity of this new moment and invitation, not just to be cleansed, but to be surrendered. It is not the loud kind of surrender the world often imagines. It is not about defeat or weakness. It is quiet. It is sacred. It is the kind of strength that kneels, not because it has to, but because it wants to. Lord, surrender is not giving up. It is giving over. It is unclenching my fists after fighting battles that were never mine to begin with. It is laying down the need to always know, always fix, always win. It is choosing peace over control, rest over resistance. And yet, it is not easy. My heart still carries the urge to manage, to anticipate, to strategize, even in prayer. I want to surrender, but I want to do it on my terms. Still, you wait patiently. You do not force surrender. You wait for trust to mature into release. Father, I bring to you all that I am still trying to hold together. The conversations I replay in my mind. The worries I cannot silence. The dreams I am afraid to speak aloud. The outcomes I am trying to manipulate. These things keep me distracted, divided, unsure. But you are not confused. You are not in pieces. You are whole, and you invite me into that wholeness. Not through achievement, but through surrender. You are not asking me to prove myself. You are asking me to trust you more than I trust myself. There is a subtle pride that hides in my striving. I do not always recognize it because it dresses up as responsibility, as hard work, as strength, but deep down, I know when my doing becomes a substitute for my being. I know when my planning becomes a wall against uncertainty. And I know that wall is not protecting me, it is isolating me. It keeps me from the flow of grace, from the freedom of letting go. So today, I bring it down, brick by brick, not to be exposed, but to be embraced. Let surrender look like breathing, God, not a heavy sigh of resignation, but a deep inhale of peace. Let it shape the way I walk through this day unrushed, unburdened, unafraid. Let it color the way I listen to others, the way I respond to challenges, the way I carry silence. I do not want to live clenched. I want to live open, and openness requires courage. The courage to not have all the answers. The courage to rest in the unknown. The courage to believe that you are already working where I cannot see. Teach me to surrender my timeline, my expectations, my measurements of success. Teach me to hand over my fear of falling behind, my fear of being misunderstood, my fear of not being enough. These fears do not come from you. They are the echoes of old battles, voices from old wounds. But your voice is different. It does not shout. It whispers with clarity. It says, I am here. I am enough for both of us. You are the God of beginnings and endings, and everything in between. You hold time in your hands. You see the full picture when I only hold fragments. And you are not anxious about the pace of my becoming. You know how long it takes for a seed to break open underground. You know the value of hidden growth. You are not asking me to bloom on command. You are asking me to stay rooted, to stay surrendered, even when I cannot yet see the fruit. Let me surrender not only the hard things, but the good things too. The gifts, the opportunities, the relationships I cherish. I place them in your hands, not because I want to lose them, because I want to love them rightly. I want to hold nothing tighter than I hold on to you. I want to build nothing that cannot survive without me. I want to live in such a way that nothing I lose can destroy the peace I have found in you. There are decisions ahead that feel weighty. There are doors I long to see open, and some I pray will close. But I cannot twist the handle of destiny. I can only stand with hands open, saying, God, if you lead, I will follow. If you close it, I will trust. If you ask me to wait, I will stay. That kind of surrender feels vulnerable, but it is also where strength begins to grow, not the strength to control, but the strength to endure, to adapt, to obey with joy. Let surrender become my daily rhythm. Let it greet me in the morning, steady me in the afternoon, and release me into rest at night. Let it free me from the noise that says, I must always be more. Do more. Prove more. I am already known. I am already loved. And that is the firmest ground on which to stand. You do not call me to surrender once and never again. You call me to live surrendered, a posture, not an event, a way of being, not a checkbox. Help me recognize the moments when surrender is needed. When I am tempted to force a solution, let me pause. When I want to argue to be right, let me listen instead. When I begin to grasp too tightly, let me remember that everything I truly need flows from you. There is something holy in holding nothing, in letting go of the illusion of control, in acknowledging that you are God and I am not, and in that space, peace rises, not fragile peace that depends on circumstances, but deep peace that flows from alignment. I do not want to fight you for the pen in my story. I want to hand it to you, knowing you write with wisdom and mercy and purpose beyond my understanding. And still, you do not force surrender. You woo it. You wait for it. You gently invite me, again and again, to place what I carry into your capable hands. You remind me that the strength I need is not in holding on, but in letting go. Not in knowing every step, but in trusting the next one will be lit when I get there. So this morning, I surrender again. I surrender the H I cannot name. I surrender the outcome I secretly crave. I surrender the version of myself that is tired of pretending. And in this surrender, I find not loss, but life. I find not silence, but song. I find not weakness, but the holy strength of resting in a God who never sleeps, who never leaves, who never fails. The sky outside is growing brighter, and with it comes a sense of release. Not everything is solved, but everything is surrendered, and that is enough. That is more than enough. Lord, as I rise from the quiet surrender of yesterday, I find myself stepping into a deeper kind of silence, one not merely empty of noise, but full of you. The kind of stillness that does not ask for answers, but opens its arms to your presence. After laying down the burdens I once held too tightly, I now realize there is something sacred waiting in the space I have cleared. It is not just rest, it is readiness. Not just silence, it is a listening heart. Father, I used to think stillness meant doing nothing, that it was idleness, passivity, waiting without purpose. But I see now that stillness with you is rich with intention, is not a void but a sanctuary. It is where faith grows without striving, where your voice can be heard without competing with my own. It is not the absence of movement, but the fullness of awareness. In stillness, I do not retreat from the world, I return to myself and to you. There is a quiet strength in listening that I have often overlooked. I have filled my prayers with words, with longings, with plans I hope you bless. But today, I come not to speak first, but to hear. I bring you my inner ear, attuned not to the volume of my worries, but to the subtle rhythm of your spirit. I know now that some of the greatest revelations arrive not with thunder, but with a whisper that only the still can receive. Teach me to slow my soul, God. Teach me to resist the urge to rush into decisions, to defend myself, to fill every moment with activity. Let this day be marked not by how much I accomplish, but by how well I perceive your guidance. Let me move with intention, not reaction. Let me respond from a place of peace, not pressure, even in the tasks that await me. Let there be an inner stillness that listens before it speaks, waits before it judges, breathes before it acts. Sometimes the noise is not outside, Lord, it is within. The endless loops of thought, the rehearsals of conversations, the mental to-do lists spinning faster than my spirit can follow. But even in that inner chaos, you offer me calm. You do not wait for me to be perfect to meet me. You step into the swirl and speak a single word that can still the storm. You remind me that peace is not a product of my environment, but a result of abiding in you. There is a holy invitation in every moment to return to stillness, not just when I am overwhelmed, but even when life is good, even in laughter, in beauty, in joy. You are speaking. Help me not to miss your voice, because I am only listening when things fall apart. Help me to recognize your presence in the small things, the warmth of sunlight on my face, the rhythm of my breathing, the pause between my thoughts. In those places, you are near. Let me not confuse stillness with avoidance. I am not hiding from my life. I am anchoring in you so I can face it. I am not stepping away from responsibility. I am stepping into clarity. I am not shrinking back. I am sinking deeper. In a world that values noise and speed, let me be a quiet contradiction. Let my calm be contagious. Let my steadiness become a refuge for others. Let my listening life speak louder than my anxious words ever could. Sometimes, God, the answers I seek are already within me, but I cannot hear them when I am shouting over them. Help me trust that what you placed in me will rise when I give it room. Help me stop trying to force clarity before it's time. Help me be still enough to allow wisdom to unfold at its own pace. You are not in a rush, and if I follow you, I do not need to be either. There are things I want to understand about myself, about others, about where you are leading. But today, I release the pressure to figure it all out. I choose, instead, to listen, not just for solutions, but for presence, not just for direction, but for delight. You are not only my guide, you are the beauty along the way. In stillness, I see what I miss when I am moving too fast. I feel what I ignore when I am always managing. I receive what I can never earn through effort alone. In the hush of this morning, I realize that listening is a form of love. When I listen to you, I honor that your voice matters more than mine. When I listen to others, I reflect that same love outward. I stop planning my reply and start receiving their truth. I become a vessel, not a shield, an instrument of compassion, not correction. Stillness teaches me how to hear not just what is said, but what is felt. It teaches me to be present enough to notice pain hidden behind smiles, weariness beneath routine, longing within silence. Let this listening posture extend into my every interaction today. When someone speaks, let me be there, not just physically, but with my whole attention. When no one is speaking, let me listen to what the moment holds. The sound of the wind, the shifting of light, the unspoken prayers behind someone's eyes. These are also part of the language of love. And when I listen to myself, Father, help me do so with gentleness. Let me notice my needs without judgment. Let me recognize my fears without shame. Let me meet my own longing not with urgency, but with grace. For in listening inwardly, I begin to hear where healing still needs to happen. I begin to understand what needs rest, what needs courage, what needs time. I stop demanding and start discerning. There is a stillness that listens even when life is loud. Let me carry that stillness with me not as escape, but as foundation, not as silence, but as presence, not as withdrawal, but as wisdom. You are not asking me to turn away from the world, but to walk through it with ears tuned to your frequency. In meetings, in waiting rooms, in traffic, in laughter, in grief, let me listen for you. You are never absent. Sometimes I am just too busy to notice. But when I slow, when I settle, when I let go of the need to always fill space, I find you. I hear the quiet truths you have been whispering all along, that I am loved, that I am not alone, that I do not have to earn what has already been given. So as the day unfolds, let me not chase after answers, but sit in the company of questions. Let me not rush to fill every moment, but savor the one I am in. Let me listen long enough to recognize what is true, what is good, what is you. And in that stillness, may peace rise again, not as a fleeting feeling, but as the steady ground beneath my feet, ready to carry me into whatever this day will bring. Father, as I continue this quiet journey of listening, I begin to notice something awakening deep within me. It is not loud or urgent, yet it stirs like a steady current beneath still waters. Yesterday, I learned the strength of stillness that listens. Today, I realize that in truly listening, courage begins to bloom, not the kind that charges ahead, but the kind that waits without fear, the kind that trusts you enough to pause, even when the world demands motion. Lord, I confess how often I have confused fear with urgency. How many times I have mistaken silence for failure. I have wrestled with the waiting places, believing they meant something had gone wrong. But you are teaching me a different rhythm, a rhythm that does not push for immediate outcomes, but rests in your timing with a heart wide open. In this place of quiet trust, I am not stalled, I am rooted. Not forgotten, I am being formed. You are the God who does not rush the sunrise. You do not panic when progress seems slow. You do not abandon what is unfolding simply because it takes time. So why should I? If you are not anxious, why must I be? You are not measuring my worth by speed or success, but by my willingness to remain where you have placed me until you say it is time to move. There is a courage in staying, and I am learning to honor that. Waiting with you is not the same as waiting alone. When I surrender my timelines and expectations, I find you in the pause. I find you in the days that feel unremarkable, in the moments that go unnoticed by others. There is no delay in your love, no holding back of grace. The waiting does not separate me from you. It draws me closer to your heart, where patience is not punishment, but preparation. Give me the courage to be present in the now, even when the now feels incomplete. Let me stop measuring time by what I can see and begin to measure it by what you are shaping within me. Help me trust that delay is not denial, that unanswered prayers are not unheard ones, that what seems dormant may be quietly deepening. Your silence is not absence, it is often the space where the roots of faith grow strongest. There is a kind of bravery in not knowing, in letting go of my need to control every outcome, in resisting the urge to demand clarity before I take a single step. I want to live in a way that says, even here, even now, even without all the answers, I believe. I believe you are working in the hidden places. I believe you are guiding what I cannot yet understand. I believe you are never late, even when my heart aches for arrival. Lord, make me bold in the waiting. Let my hope be fierce, not fragile. Let it be the kind that lifts its head even in disappointment and says, still, I will wait on the Lord. Let it be the kind that does not flinch at uncertainty, but finds strength in surrender. I do not want a faith that only thrives when things go my way. I want a faith that sings in the shadows, that walks through the fog with steady steps, that holds peace like a lantern in the night. You are not asking me to fix everything. I am finally starting to see that you are inviting me to trust you in everything, to stop running ahead with my own solutions, to stop filling silence with doubt. You are not in a hurry, and if I am following you, I can breathe again. I can wait with open hands, knowing that what is for me will not miss me, that what is growing, even if unseen, will rise in due time. I used to think courage always looked like action, like bold moves and loud declarations. But you are showing me another way, a courage that is quiet, unwavering, and deeply rooted in trust. The courage to stay when I want to flee, to rest when I want to strive, to believe when nothing looks different. That is the courage that transforms the soul, that turns waiting into worship, even in the slow seasons. You are not wasting time. You are shaping my character, purifying my motives, strengthening my foundation. The fruit I long for is not delayed, it is being nourished in secret. It is being tended by your hand, in soil I cannot see, and when it blooms, it will be not only beautiful, but strong enough to last. So today, I do not resist the slowness. I welcome it. I welcome the in-between spaces where I learn to rely not on outcomes, but on you. I welcome the gentle unfolding, the sacred delays, the holy hush between promise and fulfillment. I welcome what the world overlooks, the quiet acts of courage that take place when no one is watching, when nothing is certain, when only trust remains. Help me celebrate what is here before I rush to what is next. Let my heart not chase what has not yet come, but bless what already is. Let me see the gift in this waiting space, not as a detour, but as a vital part of the path. You are not just preparing things for me. You are preparing me for them. And that preparation matters more than I know. You are not holding me back, Lord. You are holding me close. And when I remember that, the waiting no longer feels like a prison, but like a promise. A promise that you are doing something good, even if it is not yet visible. A promise that you are always faithful. So I breathe deeply today, not with impatience, but with trust. I lift my eyes not to the clock, but to the heavens. I choose not to fill the silence with anxious thoughts, but to rest in the certainty of your love. I may not know what tomorrow holds, but I know who holds me, and that is enough. In this sacred stillness, where time slows and breath deepens, I find not emptiness but abundance, not waiting rooms, but waiting grounds fertile with unseen miracles, layered with grace, alive with the whisper of all you are becoming in me. Let that be enough today. Let that be the kind of courage that carries me not loud, not proud, but steady, soft, unshakable. Let me wait as one who already belongs, already loved, already held. And as morning light seeps through the edge of the sky once more, I feel no rush, only readiness, only reverence, only the kind of quiet faith that stands still and yet walks forward all at once. God, as I breathe in the hush of this morning, I carry with me the stillness of yesterday, the kind of calm that is not simply the absence of chaos, but the presence of your unwavering peace. I step into this day not with certainty about what it holds, but with the quiet strength that comes from knowing you are already in it. The courage to wait has softened the fear of the unknown. Now, I feel you inviting me to something deeper still, the strength to let go and begin again. Father, I admit how tightly I hold on to what is familiar, even when it no longer brings life. I cling to old narratives, past wounds, expired roles, and identities that once served a purpose, but now hinder my becoming. Sometimes, it feels safer to hold on to what I have outgrown than to face the discomfort of becoming new. But you are not calling me to comfort. You are calling me to transformation. Letting go is not failure. It is not loss. It is surrender. And in that surrender, there is renewal. There is room for new breath, new grace, new vision. I do not want to be so burdened by what was that I miss, what could be. Teach me to open my hands without fear. Teach me to trust that what you remove, you replace with something greater, not always easier, not always clearer, but always fuller, always truer, always rooted in love. Lord, how often I have mistaken holding on for loyalty, when really it was fear that if I loosened my grip, I would fall. But you remind me that you are not only the one I release to, you are the one who catches me. You are the safety beneath the letting go, the grace beneath the ending, the beginning buried in every goodbye. There are stories in my life that have reached their final page. People, seasons, dreams that once flourished and now have faded. And I confess, I have lingered too long in the past, rereading chapters already closed, hoping somehow I could rewrite them. But you are not the author of regret. You are the author of redemption. You do not ask me to erase my past, but to let you rewrite my future with hands no longer bound by yesterday. Give me the humility to release what I cannot carry forward. Let me lay down my pride, my illusions of control, my need to prove or explain. Let me choose peace over performance. Let me choose growth over stagnation. Let me choose your voice over the echo of my doubts. For each time I release what I was never meant to hold, I make space for what you have always longed to give. There is no shame in beginning again. The world may see restarts as weakness, but you see them as resurrection. You see them as sacred interruptions, divine opportunities to realign with purpose, to breathe deeper, to walk lighter. I want to live unafraid of starting over, not because I have mastered life, because I trust the one who is faithful through every start and stumble. Help me forgive the versions of myself I have outgrown, the choices I regret, the words I wish I could take back. Let me look upon my past not with condemnation, but with compassion. I was doing the best I could with what I knew. And now that I know more, now that I see more, I can be more. Not because of effort, but because of grace. Because of the way you gently shape even the broken pieces into something meaningful. Letting go does not erase love. It does not dismiss the value of what was. It simply honors the truth that life is not meant to be static. It flows. It evolves. And so must I. Even the trees let go of their leaves to make room for new ones. Even the sky releases the night to welcome the day. Why should I be any different? I trust that you will not let anything truly mine pass me by. I do not need to strive or grasp or manipulate outcomes. What is rooted in you will find its way to me in your time. And what is not, no matter how tightly I cling, will slip through my hands for my protection, not my punishment. You are too kind to let me build a life on what cannot sustain me. Lord, quiet the voices in me that shame me for releasing what no longer fits. The friendships that faded, the goals that changed, the dreams that did not unfold the way I imagined. Let me mourn what was with dignity, but not get stuck trying to resurrect what was never meant to last. Let me celebrate what it gave me, then release it with gratitude. I want to be a person who travels light, who trusts enough to walk away from what is no longer life-giving, who chooses presence over nostalgia, faith over fear, movement over stagnation. I want to hold the past with tenderness, but hold the future with expectancy. And in the space between, I want to hold myself with kindness. Your mercy is new every morning, not recycled, not rationed, but new. I do not have to borrow shame from yesterday. I do not have to earn the right to begin again. I simply have to say yes. Yes to your mercy. Yes to your redirection. Yes to the unknown that is known by you. My beginning again is not because I am lost, but because you are leading me somewhere greater. You do not need perfection from me. Only permission. Permission to enter the closed doors, the shut down places, the hidden hurts I am too afraid to face. You are not in a hurry to fix me. You are simply present to walk with me as I heal. And in your presence, beginning again is not a burden, it is a gift. It is not punishment, it is promise. So today, I open my hands. I breathe deeply. I name what must be released not in bitterness, but in blessing. I honor what brought me here, and I gently unhook it from my shoulders. I trust that what is ahead will meet me with grace, that the horizon I cannot yet see is already rising in light, that I do not need to have everything figured out to take the next faithful step. This morning is a threshold, and I choose to cross it not dragging the weight of yesterday, but dancing with the hope of today. I choose to begin again not because I failed, but because I am free, free to grow, free to change, free to trust, free to walk with you in the direction of light, even if it leads through unknown lands. Let me be unafraid to shade old skins. Let me celebrate the empty hands that make room for fullness. Let me live with open arms, not because everything is certain, but because you are constant. And in that constancy, I can release, I can receive, I can begin again. As the sun rises once more over the quiet earth, I feel it too rising in me, a lightness, a redness, a sacred permission to be new. Not perfect, not complete, but new, and that is enough. Father, in the quiet after letting go, I find myself noticing what I once rushed past. There is a stillness that was not there before, a slowing down that does not feel like weakness, but like wisdom. Yesterday, I opened my hands and released what no longer served the journey. And today, those same hands are free to receive something often overlooked, the beauty of small things. Lord, so much of life teaches us to chase what is big, loud, fast, and grand. We learn to measure success in milestones and celebrate only the peaks. But in this gentle morning, you whisper something different. You draw my gaze down to the ground, to the dew collecting on leaves, to the sun spilling over rooftops, to the quiet way breath enters and exits my lungs without applause. You remind me that sacredness is not always spectacular. Sometimes it is silent, subtle, and slow. Teach me to treasure what is easy to miss. The warmth of a single cup of tea, the sound of birds returning to their morning songs, the touch of light across my floor, the fact that I woke up today with breath in my body and time still left to love. Let me not wait for big breakthroughs to be grateful. Let me find wonder in the ordinary. Let my soul become fluent in the language of simplicity. God, I confess how easily I overlook the daily gifts because I am focused on what I lack. Measure my worth by what is unfinished or unseen, by what others celebrate or validate. But you see differently. You smile at the act of kindness no one noticed. You honor the patience no one thanked. You count as precious the tears cried in secret and the small steps taken in faith. You are not impressed by performance. You are moved by authenticity. Help me believe that quiet goodness matters, that small beginnings are not insignificant, that showing up with gentleness in a harsh world is an act of courage. Let me stop waiting for perfect conditions to begin living with intention. Let me stop withholding joy until things feel worthy of it. This day is already holy, not because of what it promises, but because you are in it. Let me learn from the trees that grow slowly and the flowers that bloom without noise. Let me learn from children who laugh at puddles and dogs who wag their tails just because they saw someone they love. Let me unlearn the lie that meaning must be massive. Let me learn to be present, truly present, with what is in front of me. Lord, remind me that every big thing once started as a small thing. A forest begins with seeds. A lifetime of love begins with a single act of kindness. A revolution of peace begins with one brave word. I do not have to do everything to do something beautiful. I do not have to change the world to touch one life. I do not have to rush to matter. I matter already. Here, now, in the space I occupy, with the love I choose to give. Help me find delight in the unnoticed. Let me see the divine in the details, in the rhythm of my footsteps, in the scent of morning air, in the glance of a neighbor, in the silence between words. Let me be someone who carries light, not by being the loudest, but by being the most attentive. Let me move slowly enough to catch the grace I so often miss. God, forgive me for thinking that if life is not overwhelming me, it must be underwhelming me. You are not found only in mountaintop moments. You are here in the morning chorus, in the quiet office, in the hum of a city, in the steam of a pot on the stove. Let me not overlook your presence, because it does not shout. Let me have eyes to see the sacred hiding in plain sight. I want to be someone who notices, who pauses to appreciate the breeze through a window, who smiles at the shape of clouds, who gives thanks for the softness of clean sheets and the first bite of something warm, who lets joy rise up from the ordinary like a song remembered, who does not wait for special occasions to light candles or speak love out loud. Let me not despise the day of small things. Let me embrace the in-between. Let me love the now instead of longing only for what is next. Every day is built from moments, and every moment is a chance to live awake. I do not want to sleepwalk through blessings. I do not want to overlook the gifts I prayed for simply because they now feel routine. Routine is a blessing. Normal is a miracle. Peace is not boring, it is precious. Lord, when I get caught up in the need to prove or achieve, draw me back to what really matters. The hand held, the meal shared, the prayer whispered, the silence honored, the promise kept. These are not small things. They are everything. They are the fabric of a life lived with meaning. They are where you dwell in the spaces where love is chosen over noise, where kindness is offered without cameras, where compassion shows up without an audience. Help me slow down long enough to hear the heartbeat of now, to notice that I am not missing out by moving slowly. I am moving meaningfully. The world may race ahead, but I choose to walk with you at a different pace. A pace that makes room for stillness. A pace that makes space for presence. A pace that allows love to be more than a concept. It becomes a practice. There is a holiness in folding laundry, a sacredness in writing a note, a quiet triumph in choosing to be kind when no one would fault me for being harsh. These things are not lesser, they are luminous. They are lighthouses in a world that glorifies noise, but forgets how to be still. Father, let me bring my full self to each moment, not waiting for perfection, but embracing what is. Let me bring love to the table, not because it will be reciprocated, but because it is who I am when I remember who you are. Let me offer grace, not because people earn it, but because I never stop needing it myself. Let me choose to believe that no moment spent in love is wasted. Even when the world feels heavy, I can still make a small space lighter. Even when the pain is vast, I can still offer a quiet prayer. Even when I do not have words, my presence can be a balm. Even when I feel small, I can still reflect a God who is vast enough to hold galaxies and close enough to hold my heart. As this morning unfolds, help me walk gently, help me speak slowly, help me listen deeply. Let my life be a collection of moments, infused with care, not perfect, not extraordinary by the world's standards, but beautifully human. Intentionally kind, and quietly radiant. The light that now fills the sky came from countless small rays breaking through the dark. So may my life be a quiet, steady light in the corners of the world I touch, not trying to outshine anyone, just trying to reflect the warmth I have received, and in doing so, honoring you in the most ordinary, holy ways. Lord, after learning to see beauty in the small and ordinary, I begin to notice how peace takes root in unexpected places. It no longer depends on what I can predict or control. It flows quietly through uncertainty, like a river that keeps moving even when fog hides its course. Yesterday's stillness taught me to look closer. Today's lesson calls me to walk forward even when I cannot see the end of the path. There is a calm in the unknown that only you can give, a peace that does not erase the mystery, but blesses it. Father, you know how deeply I crave clarity. I have spent so much of my life trying to map out what lies ahead, believing that knowing would protect me. But the truth I am learning is that safety does not come from certainty. It comes from trust. You do not hand me a map because you have already offered me your hand. The path unfolds as I walk. One step, one breath, one act of faith at a time. And though fear still whispers in the dark corners of my heart, your voice always meets it with gentleness. Do not be afraid. I am with you. I realize that the unknown is not my enemy. It is simply the space where you do your best work the soil, where faith grows roots. If I could see everything ahead, I would have no reason to depend on you. So maybe the fog is not punishment. Maybe it is protection. Maybe you are keeping me from rushing into things not yet ready, or shielding me from burdens not meant for me to carry. Maybe the mystery is mercy. When I walk through seasons that lack answers, remind me that you are not silent. You are patient. Remind me that even when I do not feel movement, Something deep within me is being formed. Faith, like muscle, grows through resistance. Hope, like light, shines brighter in darkness. And love, like air, surrounds me even when I cannot see it. I do not have to understand everything to rest in the truth that you do. Lord, I bring to you my questions, the ones that ache, the ones that linger without resolution. What if I make the wrong choice? What if I fail again? What if I lose what I love most? And you, in your quiet way, remind me that I cannot outrun your grace, that even my detours are not wasted, that even in failure, you plant wisdom, that even in loss, you whisper comfort. You do not promise a life without uncertainty. You promise presence through it. Help me walk with open eyes, but a calm heart. Let my steps be guided not by fear, but by faith. Let my pace slow enough to sense your direction, yet steady enough to move forward when you call. I want to walk with peace that is not fragile, not dependent on good news, but grounded in your character unchanging. Faithful and kind. There are moments when the road narrows, when options seem few, when silence feels heavy. Yet even there, you are near. You are not only ahead of me, preparing the way, you are beside me, steadying my heart. The unknown becomes less intimidating when I remember that you are known. Your presence makes the uncertain sacred, what I cannot define. You have already redeemed. Teach me to breathe deeply when anxiety tries to quicken my steps. Teach me to notice how every moment, no matter how uncertain, carries the rhythm of grace. The same God who guided my past will not abandon my future. The same light that broke yesterday's dawn will rise again, even if clouds blur it for a while. You have never failed me, and you never will. Sometimes peace is not a feeling but a decision, a quiet choice to stay grounded in truth rather than tossed by fear, to keep walking. Even when I can only see the next stone on the path, to trust that each step taken in faith will meet solid ground, not because I am steady, but because you are. I am not walking into emptiness. I am walking into your promises. Father, when doubt begins to speak louder than truth, draw me back into your stillness. When fear tells me to retreat, remind me that courage is not the absence of fear, but the will to move anyway. When I feel lost, let me remember that I have never once left your sight. You are the compass that never fails, the flame that never flickers, the guide who never grows weary. Help me find joy in not knowing everything. Let mystery become a place of intimacy with you rather than anxiety within me. Let me learn to rest in the waiting, to smile even when the path curves, to celebrate progress even when I cannot yet see the destination. The unknown becomes lighter when I carry it with trust instead of tension. There are days when I will stumble, when I will want to take control again, when fear will disguise itself as logic. In those moments, meet me with mercy. Gently remind me of how far we have come together. Remind me that you never mocked my weakness, only molded it into strength. Remind me that your plans are not fragile and that my missteps cannot undo your purpose. You are not asking me to have everything figured out. You are inviting me to walk closely enough that I can hear your whisper, step by step, heart to heart. Each morning becomes an altar where I lay down the need to know and pick up the courage to trust. Let my peace be so deep that it confuses the world. Let my calm in uncertainty speak louder than my confidence in control. Let me live as someone who has tasted freedom from fear, because I no longer walk alone. Let me move not with haste, but with holy assurance that every twist in the road is known by you. As the horizon brightens, I see that the unknown is not a void. It is a canvas. And you, Lord, are the artist painting it in real time, stroke by stroke, grace by grace. I do not need to see the whole picture to love the process. The masterpiece is unfolding, and I am a living part of it. So today, I take another step, not rushed, not hesitant, but steady. I breathe deeply. I release my grip on tomorrow. I welcome the unknown, knowing it is simply another name for the place where you are already waiting. I walk in peace, not because I know where I am going, but because I know who goes with me. Father, as I continue walking into places I cannot yet understand, I begin to notice that it is not just the unknown that stretches me, but the silence that often accompanies it. There are moments when no answers come, when even your voice feels distant, and yet I am still invited to move. The peace I carried yesterday has not disappeared, but it now rests in a deeper stillness, one that does not demand a sign, but accepts the quiet as holy ground. In the quiet, Lord, I feel both exposed and embraced. There is nothing to distract me from my thoughts, my questions, my doubts. And yet, there is also nothing blocking your presence. It becomes clear that silence is not a void, but a vessel, a space where trust can deepen without the noise of certainty. You do not always speak loudly, but you always remain. Even when you are silent, you are not absent. Help me release the urge to fill every quiet moment with noise or motion. Let me sit with you in the stillness without needing something to happen. Let me learn that waiting is not wasted when it is rooted in you, in the silence. I am stripped of performance. I no longer need to say the right things or do the right things to feel close to you. I just need to be. And being with you is always enough. Lord, it is easy to confuse silence with disapproval. I find myself asking, did I miss something? Did I stray? But you do not withdraw as punishment. You are not a God who sulks in distance. You draw near in ways I cannot always recognize. Sometimes, your nearness is not felt, but revealed in hindsight, after the breakthrough, after the healing, after the storm has passed. But even before I see the evidence, you are here. Give me the courage to believe that what is quiet is still sacred. Let my heart learn to rest not because everything is explained, but because I am anchored in love that needs no explanation. Remind me that even in the pauses, you are weaving goodness. Just as a musician uses silence to shape a melody, you use stillness to shape my soul. There are days when I long for signs, clear directions, unmistakable answers, open doors with flashing lights. But more often, you offer whispers, nudges, or simply the peace that comes from doing the next right thing without knowing what comes after. Teach me to walk with integrity, even when applause is absent. Teach me to obey, not for reward, but because I trust the one who asks. Lord, when my prayers feel unanswered, let me not retreat in discouragement. Let me remain in communion with you, knowing that silence is a language you sometimes use to teach me how to listen more deeply. Let me bring my heart to you without needing to be fixed, just held. Let my faith not hinge on outcomes, but on the quiet assurance that I am yours. You are not a God of hurry. You do not rush healing or growth. You move with intention, with gentleness, with the kind of patience that my anxious mind struggles to understand. So slow me down when I run ahead. Remind me that roots grow in hidden places, that becoming takes time, that depth is formed in delay. Let me not despise the silence, but treasure it as a sacred season of formation. Even in stillness, there is movement. The tides shift, the earth turns, and my spirit stretches. What looks like a pause on the outside is often transformation on the inside. I may not feel productive, but I am being prepared. You are doing something in me that cannot be rushed or seen, and I choose to honor that unseen work. Let my trust grow taller than my fear. Let my hope sink deeper than my questions. Let my soul remain steady even when nothing seems to change. For in you, stillness is not stagnation, it is the preparation of a heart that will one day overflow. Lord, there are mornings when I wake up and feel the weight of all that is unanswered. I open my eyes and wonder if today will bring the shift I have been praying for. And then I remember that the shift often begins within me. Before circumstances move, my soul must settle. Before answers come, peace must rise. Before the doors open, I must learn to stand in the hallway with grace. You are teaching me that faith is not loud. It does not always shout from mountaintops or declare its strength with bold gestures. Sometimes, faith is quiet and tucked beneath the surface, hidden but alive, waiting for its moment to bloom. I may not feel brave, but if I am still here, still showing up, still leaning in, then I am walking in faith. Help me see your fingerprints in the ordinary. Let me find you in the sunrise that returns without fail, in the breath that fills my lungs, in the kindness of a friend, in the stillness between tasks. You are not confined to holy places or dramatic encounters. You are here, right now, in this moment that seems too quiet to matter, but it does. God, quiet my need for signs and strengthen my trust in your presence. Let me learn to love the slow unfolding of each day. Let me greet the silence not with suspicion, but with reverence. You are never late, and nothing escapes your notice. What feels like delay is often divine timing. What feels like absence is often the invitation to deeper communion. Give me the eyes to see what is being cultivated in the quiet. Patience, resilience, compassion, endurance. These are not loud gifts, but they last. They hold me when everything else is shaking. They anchor me when life becomes uncertain. These are the treasures of the silent seasons. Help me remember that the way forward is not always about moving faster or doing more. Sometimes, it is about being still long enough to hear the soft voice calling me back to center, to the truth that I am deeply loved, that I do not have to earn belonging, that your delight in me is not based on my productivity, but on the simple fact that I am yours, As the day unfolds, let me carry the stillness within me. Let me walk into the noise of the world without losing the peace I found in the silence. Let me respond instead of react. Breathe before I speak. Pause before I judge. Let my presence be a reflection of yours, steady, kind, and deeply rooted. And when the noise of life grows louder, when expectations press in, when demands overwhelm, bring me back to this quiet place. Whisper again to my weary heart that I am not alone, that even in the silence, you are working, that even in the delay, you are faithful, that even when I hear nothing, you have not stopped speaking. This silence, Father, is not a punishment. It is an invitation, a holy space where I do not need to perform, achieve, or prove, a space where I can simply rest in your presence and remember who I am. Let me return here often not to escape the world, but to carry peace back into it. The morning light slowly filters through the trees outside my window, and I am reminded that even the sun rises in silence. It does not announce itself with thunder, but gently casts its light over the world. So too, your love moves quietly, persistently, faithfully. I open my heart to that kind of grace today. God, as I open my heart to you this morning, I sense how fragile everything feels when life begins to shake around me. The stillness of yesterday gives way to tremors of uncertainty today, and I find myself reaching for the steadiness of your presence, the unshakable ground beneath my feet. The whispers of fear may swirl through my thoughts, but I hold to the grace you have poured over every breath, every beginning, and every unknown ending. What began as a gentle walk with you now asks for a courage not born of my strength, but of your sustaining hand. The path behind me is no longer visible, and the way ahead is clouded by questions that do not yield quick answers. But even so, you are here. You always are. You do not promise a life free of disruption, but you promise to remain when all else falters. And in this promise, I find my footing again. Let me not lean on what I see or what I fear, but instead lean fully on who you are, constant, faithful, and never caught off guard. Let this morning be a declaration, not of my control, but of my surrender. You have taught me that surrender is not weakness. It is the gateway to peace. When I let go of my need to predict, fix, or understand everything, I create space for you to move freely in my life. Let your grace meet me in the hollow places I cannot fill on my own. Help me not to resist what you are shaping in me through the very shaking I fear. Let the trials that threaten to undo me instead transform me into one who trusts you more, loves more deeply, and lives more fully, not in spite of the struggle, but because of what it awakens in me. There are moments, Lord, when silence feels heavier than words. I bring those moments to you now, the pauses between my thoughts, where doubt creeps, in the quiet corners of my soul, where loneliness echoes. Will you sit with me there, in the waiting, in the aching spaces, in the longing for clarity? I do not ask for you to rush the process, but simply to make your nearness unmistakable. Let the stillness become a sanctuary, not a sentence. Let it be where I meet you in the most intimate way, in this shaking, Strip away what no longer serves the life you are calling me into. Detach me from my reliance on certainty, and instead anchor me in the truth of your word, which endures through every storm. Where I have clung too tightly to temporary comforts, loosen my grip. Where I have trusted in plans instead of presence, redirect my focus. Where I have sought safety more than sanctification, realign my heart. And as you do, I will breathe deeply, not because I have answers, but because I know I am held. Help me see that grace is not only a covering, but also a calling. You invite me to walk through shaking seasons as one who carries your peace into a world desperate for it. So let my responses today reflect not my fears, but your spirit alive in me. Let my words carry healing. Let my silence carry weight. Let my presence offer safety. Let me not be consumed by what shakes around me, but convinced of what stands within me, your life, your light, your love, unshaken, God. When others around me stumble under the weight of their fears, let me be someone who whispers hope when despair rises in conversations or on the faces of those I meet. Teach me to carry grace like a lamp in the dark. I do not want to be someone who avoids pain. I want to be someone who knows how to sit in it with compassion, who listens without rushing, who loves without needing to be right. This kind of love requires more than I can offer alone. So fill me with your heart until mine beats in rhythm with it. I acknowledge that there are places I am still learning to trust you, areas of my heart I keep guarded, patterns I fall back into when fear whispers louder than truth. I bring them into the light this morning, not to be shamed, but to be healed. You are not impatient with my process. You are not wary of my need. You lean in with kindness, not condemnation. And so I keep bringing my whole self to you, my brave parts and my breaking parts, my faith and my questions, my willingness and my hesitation, and you keep meeting me with grace. Lord, believe that what feels like a shaking is often the beginning of a deeper building. So build in me a resilience rooted in grace, not a brittle strength that resists emotion or pretends away the pain, but a grounded strength, honest and anchored. Let my life reflect the slow, quiet work you're doing beneath the surface. The kind of work that does not clamor for attention, but shows up in peace under pressure, joy in chaos, and love when it is least expected. Let this day be a living prayer. Let my actions be worship. Let my pauses be moments of alignment. Let my pace match yours, not rushed, not delayed, but present. I do not want to run ahead of your timing or lag behind in fear. Teach me how to walk with you even when the ground trembles beneath me. And when I cannot walk, teach me how to be still in trust. Thank you for being the God who sees not only my circumstances, but also my heart within them. You look beyond the shaking and into the shaping. You are not discouraged by my struggle. Instead, you draw near. Let this be the day I become more aware of that nearness. Let that awareness soften me where I have grown hard and steady me where I have become unbalanced. Teach me that stability is not the absence of storms, but the presence of you in the middle of them. When I look around and see systems failing, people hurting, relationships breaking, Remind me that nothing surprises you. You are already at work in ways I cannot see. So let me not despair when the world feels out of control. Let me be a person of peace, a person of hope, a person who reflects the kingdom, even in the middle of the confusion. Let this shaking refine me, not define me. As I rise into the hours ahead, I choose to hold tightly to grace, not as an escape, but as a lens. Through it, I will see the day differently. I will see beauty where there is brokenness, possibility where there is pain, and purpose even in the pieces. Grace does not erase reality, but it transforms it. And I want to live that transformation from the inside out. With each breath, I trust that you are shaping me into someone who can carry your heart into the places that need it most. And when the day ends, let me look back not with regret, but with gratitude for how you walked with me through it all. Like morning mist lifting from the fields, I sense clarity rising. The world may still be trembling, but my soul is steadied by the quiet assurance that you are near, that you are enough, and that your grace is greater than every fear. Father, as the dawn unfolds again, I carry with me the stillness of yesterday's closing thoughts, the mist lifting, clarity rising, and your presence steady through every shaking. That quiet assurance lingers like a gentle echo in my soul, reminding me that even when my steps feel uncertain, I walk with one who never loses sight of the way ahead. Today, I bring my trust again to your feet, not a perfect trust, but a willing one, the kind of trust that does not wait for answers to appear, but chooses to follow even when the road ahead curves out of view. I know now that peace does not always come from knowing, but from knowing you. And so I lean not on clarity, but on closeness. If you are near, then I am safe, no matter how unpredictable the landscape may be. Let that be enough for me today, not explanations, not guarantees, but your nearness like a compass to my heart. Remind me, as I take each step, that your guidance often comes in whispers rather than lightning bolts, in subtle shifts rather than sudden turns. Teach me to be attentive. There are times when waiting feels like wandering, when the silence stretches and my questions grow louder. But even there, you are present, not withholding, but preparing, not punishing, but positioning. So let this in-between season not be wasted. Let it deepen me. Let it humble me. Let it shape the kind of character that can carry your promises without being crushed by them. Help me resist the urge to rush ahead, to fabricate clarity where you have asked for trust instead. God, I confess that I often long for signs, for visible markers that I am on the right path, that I am not lost. But today, I choose to let faith be the evidence, not because I see, but because I believe in your heart for me. You have never led me into harm without redemption, never into loss without something more eternal being formed within. So I will move slowly, listening more than I speak, noticing more than I grasp, trusting more than I understand. Let today be an altar of trust, a place where I lay down my need to figure it all out. I choose to believe that even the detours are not wasted in your hands, that the pauses, the pivots, The delays all serve a higher purpose I may never fully see. And if I never see the full picture, let me still find joy in the strokes of color you place along the way. Let the unseen become an invitation to deeper intimacy, not a source of fear. When I grow wary of the not yet, teach me to find delight in the now, to see this very moment not as empty waiting, but as sacred preparation. Help me release the pressure to perform or prove, and instead receive the grace to simply be, to walk with open hands and a soft heart, believing that what you withhold today is not punishment, but protection, that you are not slow, but intentional. Lord, I do not want to become hardened by disappointment or skeptical from delay. Guard my heart from cynicism, from the quiet erosion of hope that creeps in when timelines crumble. Let me hope anyway. Let me dream again. Let me believe that you are still writing beautiful stories, even when the page seems blank. And if the story you are writing for me includes waiting, then let it be waiting with wonder, not resentment. You are the God who led your people through the wilderness, not because you were lost, but because you were building something in them that comfort could not produce. So if this is my wilderness, let it also be my becoming. Let me not be so focused on reaching the next destination that I miss the beauty of walking with you here, in the quiet, in the monotony, in the questions. You are still God, and you are still good. Thank you for the small confirmations you give me along the way. A kind word when I needed courage, a verse that finds me when my heart is raw, a song that seems to speak my very soul. These are not accidents. They are reminders that you see me, that I am not forgotten, not invisible. Let me carry these reminders close, like stones of remembrance, proof that even the invisible path is lined with your fingerprints. And when I begin to doubt, because I will remind me that doubt is not the enemy of faith, but often the door to deeper trust. Let me not fear my questions, but bring them to you honestly. You are not threatened by my wrestling. You welcome it, because you are not a fragile God who demands blind allegiance, but a loving Father who invites relationship, even when it is messy. So I bring all of me again today, the trusting and the trembling, the bold and the broken. Let my life become a living yes, a quiet agreement with your will, even when I do not understand it. Let my yes be rooted not in naive optimism, but in the unshakable belief that you are for me, that nothing formed against me will stand, that every delay carries hidden mercy, that every unanswered prayer carries deeper alignment, and that even when I feel lost, you are never confused. As I move through this day, help me resist the noise that demands certainty, the voices that shout urgency. Let me instead move at the rhythm of grace, not rushing, not dragging, but abiding. Help me make peace with the process, to remember that growth often looks like staying planted when I would rather uproot, that healing often looks like stillness when I crave movement, and that strength often comes through surrender, not striving. God, if I forget everything else today, let me remember this: you are here. That truth alone changes everything. It changes how I see my circumstances. It changes how I respond to the unknown. It changes how I treat the people I encounter. Because if you are here, then I have everything I need to meet this moment with love, with peace, with purpose. Even when I do not feel it yet, I will walk as if it is true, because it is. And when the day wears on and the burdens grow heavy, let me pause not to escape, but to reconnect. Let me not carry what I was never meant to hold alone. Let prayer be my exhale. Let worship be my reset. Let silence be my sanctuary. And let gratitude anchor me when everything else feels uncertain. I will not wait for the storm to pass before I find peace. I will find it here, with you, in the middle of the unknown. You are not the God of just the mountaintop or the miracle. You are the God of the slow mornings, the mundane afternoons, the quiet evenings. You are present in each breath, in each decision, in each heartbeat. Let that awareness shape me today. Let it guide my words, my pace, my posture. Let it soften my responses and strengthen my resolve. This day may not unfold how I expect, but it will unfold under your sovereignty. And that is enough. I may not see the full path, but I know the one who does, and I trust you. That trust may be trembling. It may be quiet. It may not always feel strong, but it is real. And today, it is enough. As morning light spills slowly across the horizon, I walk forward, heart open, spirit willing, eyes fixed not on the path, but on the one who walks beside me. Lord, as I sit quietly in the light of this new morning, my heart still echoes with the peace I found in surrendering yesterday's worries. There is a quiet understanding now, a recognition that each dawn offers not just breath, but renewal, not just time, but opportunity. As the stillness gives way to subtle sounds of the world awakening, I realize the greatest battlefield I will walk today is not out there, but within my own mind. And so I come, Lord, not simply to be blessed, but to be transformed in the deep places no one sees. Help me take captive every thought that tries to exalt itself above your truth. For I know that the mind can be both sanctuary and storm. It can either whisper fear or declare faith, and far too often, I have allowed it to echo voices that were never yours. But today, I choose to plant my thoughts like seeds in the soil of your word. I want my thinking to align with your promises, my meditations to mirror your heart. Train my inner dialogue to speak life over death, possibility over doubt, and grace over judgment. I confess how easily I let old narratives creep in, stories of lack, failure, rejection that hold me hostage to who I was, not who I am becoming in you. Let those scripts be erased by the steady hand of your truth, rewritten with declarations of identity, belonging, and purpose. Help me guard the gate of my mind, not with fear, but with discernment, so that I may welcome what is pure, noble, and life-giving. And as you reshape my thoughts, let it spill over into the way I speak. May my words today be born from renewed thinking, not reactive, but intentional, not harsh, but healing, not scattered, but rooted in wisdom. Let every conversation be an echo of your kindness, even when firmness is required. Let every silence I choose be a posture of patience rather than frustration. Let every opinion I share be sifted through compassion before it is voiced. Teach me also to think well of others. It is too easy to fall into patterns of comparison, to judge stories I do not know, or to rehearse offenses that poison connection. I release the need to be right, and instead ask to be wise. I release the need to win, and instead ask to love. I release the need to protect my image, and instead choose to reflect your character. In doing so, I find that a renewed mind is not just a private victory, it becomes a gift to every soul I encounter. And Lord, when my thoughts wander into valleys of fear, pull them gently back. When anxiety creeps in through the cracks of uncertainty, be the voice that says peace. Be still. When discouragement wraps itself around the hopes I carry, breathe fresh wind beneath their wings. Let me not overthink what has not yet happened, or rehearse battles not mine to fight. Instead, anchor my mind in the present moment, where your presence is enough and your grace is real. Today, I choose not to be led by moods, but by mission. I choose not to ruminate on what drains me, but to meditate on what strengthens me. I invite your spirit to counsel my mind, to highlight what I need to let go, and to bring clarity where confusion once reigned. Let my thoughts today be so aligned with yours that worry finds no foothold, and peace becomes my default response to life's twists. Help me to remain teachable. Renewing the mind is not a one-time prayer, but a daily practice, a sacred rhythm of surrendering old ways and embracing new patterns. Let my curiosity never die, my humility never wane, and my hunger for truth never grow cold. Surround me with voices that sharpen me, counsel that grounds me, and silence that restores me. May I think deeply, love boldly, and walk wisely. And in those quiet pauses throughout the day, when the noise fades for just a moment, remind me to return to this place, a space of clarity, where I can reset my thoughts and remember who I am in you. Remind me that I am not my thoughts, but I can shape them. I am not my past, but I can learn from it. I am not what the world declares, but who you say I am. Let this day be marked by internal alignment more than external achievement. Let mental clutter give way to mental clarity. Let your voice rise above all others in my mind, tender and steady, calling me into stillness, strategy, and strength. With each thought reformed by your word, I walk lighter, speak kinder, and see clearer. The sun now rises a little higher, casting its warmth across rooftops and treetops alike. I feel the breeze moving, not in haste, but in purpose. The day is stretching forward, and so am I, not rushing, but ready. My mind is not merely prepared, it is renewed. I step into the hours ahead, carrying not the weight of what-ifs, but the lightness of what is. I carry a mind not cluttered by fear, but focused by grace. And in this focus, I find freedom. Father, in the quiet after clarity, as my thoughts rest lighter and more focused, I sense a deeper calling beneath the stillness, a call to wisdom, to discernment, to knowing what is not always seen and hearing what is not always said. The renewed mind you have given is not only for peace, but also for perception. And today, I ask that you sharpen my spirit to walk with greater discernment through every choice, conversation, and circumstance. Help me, Lord, to recognize what aligns with truth and what only wears its mask. So often, the world offers shadows disguised as light and noise parading as wisdom. In the rush of opinions and the blur of influence, it is easy to be swayed by appearance, to confuse charisma with character, and momentum with meaning. So I ask you to quiet my spirit so I can see beyond the surface. Let me not mistake movement for purpose or approval for righteousness. Tune my spirit to the frequency of your whisper so I may distinguish between what is good and what is truly of you. Teach me to pause before reacting, to listen before speaking, to consider before assuming. Let discernment be my compass, not suspicion, not fear, but a holy sensitivity grounded in love. Help me sense when a door is yours or merely a distraction dressed in opportunity, and when the right thing feels hard and the wrong thing feels easier. Remind me that discernment is not about ease, but about alignment with your heart. May I choose not what is convenient, but what is true. Open my eyes to the subtle drift that often leads to the deepest compromise. It rarely starts with something big. It begins with a small bending of boundaries, a gentle ignoring of conviction, a soft justification of what I once would have questioned. Guard me from that slow fade. Let me see when the shift begins, and give me the strength to recalibrate quickly, without shame, but with resolve. I do not want to live on autopilot, numbed by habit or led by emotion. I want to live awake, aware, and aligned. Help me discern not just actions, but motives my own and others. Search me, Lord, and reveal what hides behind my good intentions. Purify my why, so that what I do flows from integrity, not image. When others speak, help me hear their hearts, not just their words. Show me where grace is needed and where boundaries must stand. Discernment is not just seeing what is wrong, but knowing how to respond in love. Give me courage to confront with compassion, and wisdom to wait in silence when it is not yet time to speak. Let me not be impressed by the loud, the polished, or the popular. Let me be drawn instead to what is lasting, rooted, and quietly powerful. Give me eyes to see people not as they present themselves, but as you see them: wounded, gifted, growing, hiding. Let me never mistake brokenness for weakness or strength for arrogance. Teach me to discern the difference between someone reaching out and someone manipulating. Help me move through life not guarded, but guided. And in my relationships, let discernment protect both my heart and others. Help me know when to lean in and when to let go, when to pursue peace and when to step back in trust. Show me the people sent to sharpen me and those who only drain what you are building in me. Let me walk in grace without becoming blind, in love without becoming naive, and in hope without becoming reckless. May discernment be the bridge between wisdom and kindness, the invisible line that keeps me walking in truth without losing tenderness. I know that discernment begins not in the eyes, but in the spirit. so keep my spirit uncluttered, my heart free from bitterness, my soul quiet enough to recognize your prompting. I do not want to miss the gentle red flags you raise, or the divine nudges you offer. Teach me to obey those steerings, even when they do not make sense in the moment. You see what I cannot. You know what is waiting ahead. Your wisdom is not reactionary. It is sovereign. And so I choose to trust even when I do not fully understand. Remind me that discernment is not about being right, but about being righteous. It is not a weapon to wield, but a lens to see. It is not a tool for pride, but a posture of humility. Let it lead me into deeper prayer, not judgment, into deeper listening, not accusation, into deeper trust, not control. I do not want discernment that hardens me. I want discernment that deepens me. Let it stretch my empathy, expand my awareness, and mature my decisions. And when I feel unsure, remind me that you are not a God of confusion. Where you are, there is peace. Where you speak, there is clarity. Even when the path is narrow or unclear, I can rest in the knowledge that if I walk slowly enough to listen, you will guide my steps. Let discernment be the rhythm of my pace, the reason I do not run ahead or fall behind, but walk steadily in sync with your leading. This day may bring complexity, but you offer clarity. It may present crossroads, but you offer direction. It may require decisions, but you offer wisdom without shame. And so I choose to walk not in assumption, but in awareness, not in haste, but in hollowness, not in control, but in communion. As the light strengthens outside, I ask that the light within me does too. Let discernment not just visit me in the morning, but walk with me through each moment. Let it shape how I see people, how I handle conflict, how I receive praise, how I interpret challenge. Let it keep me grounded when I am tempted to drift, and open when I am tempted to shut down. Let it be a quiet voice within me that says, "This is the way," even when the world offers 1,000 other directions. I step into this new day with a mind renewed, a spirit aligned, and a heart discerning. The path ahead may twist, the voices around me may grow loud, but the stillness inside will remain if I continue to listen. Let that stillness be my sanctuary, where I return again and again to remember who I am, where I am going, and who walks with me. Lord, as I continue walking in discernment, I realize that clarity means little if my character does not carry it. It is not enough to know what is right, I must live it, even when no one is watching. So today, I come to you not asking for favor or open doors or signs of success. I ask for integrity, the kind that roots me when winds of compromise blow hard and fast. The kind that holds me upright when no one applauds, when no one affirms, and when no one agrees. Father, help me to be the same in the quiet as I am in the spotlight. Let the words I say match the thoughts I harbor. Let the actions I choose reflect the convictions I claim. Guard me from the temptation to perform rather than to be, to impress rather than to embody. I do not want to live for perception. I want to live for truth. Let my yes mean yes and my no mean no. Let consistency become my language and sincerity my accent. When the line between right and almost right blurs, give me the strength to choose what aligns with your heart. I know that integrity is often forged in the small, unseen decisions, what I do when no one knows, how I treat those who cannot repay me, how I speak when frustration rises, how I handle what is not mine. Remind me that character is not made in crowds, but in solitude, not in proclamations, but in daily choices. Let my life be a quiet testament of reliability. Teach me to honor my promises, even when the cost is higher than expected. Let me not make commitments lightly, but once made, help me carry them fully. I do not want to be known for charisma if my character cannot sustain it. Let my influence flow not from image, but from integrity. If I am to lead, let it be from a place of honesty. If I am to serve, let it be from a place of purity. If I am to speak, let it be from a place of authenticity. Do not let my gifting outgrow my grounding. There will be days when shortcuts seem easier, when bending the truth seems harmless, when justifying small compromises feels like survival. In those moments, whisper back to my heart that nothing done outside of integrity ever truly brings peace. Help me see through the lure of temporary gain and choose the long, steady path of integrity that builds trust over time. Remind me that integrity does not always win applause, but it always wins peace. Keep me honest in the little things, in the words I choose, in how I handle money, in how I use time, in how I speak of others when they are not around. Let there be no double life within me, no polished exterior masking a hollow core. Fill the inner places with light and truth, so that who I am before you is who I am before others. Let me not trade the eternal for the immediate. Let me not dress up truth to make it more palatable. Let me simply live it. When others bend the rules and seem to advance, help me not to envy their outcomes or mimic their ways. Let me remember that character is not measured by speed, but by substance. I want to build what lasts, and only integrity can bear that weight. Make me resilient, not through cleverness, but through consistency. When my motives are questioned or misunderstood, let me rest in knowing that you see all things. Let me remain steady without needing to prove myself. Let integrity shape even my silence, what I choose not to say, what I choose not to share. In a world obsessed with exposure and applause, let me find strength in restraint. Let me protect what is sacred. Let me honor privacy. Respect boundaries, and avoid gossip disguised as concern. Teach me that integrity is not only in what I do, but in what I choose not to do. Let grace guide my restraint, and truth guard my expression. And Father, when I fall short, and I will let me be quick to admit, to make it right, to repair what I have broken. Integrity is not perfection. It is a posture of humility, a willingness to be real, to apologize without excuses, to rebuild trust one act at a time. Give me the courage to confront my own inconsistencies. Show me where I have compromised, and lead me back to alignment. Let me never grow too proud to confess or too afraid to begin again. Let the people around me feel safe in my presence, knowing I will not manipulate, twist, or use. Let children feel secure, friends feel honored, strangers feel respected. Let my life create space for others to be themselves without fear. May I never use truth as a weapon, but as a mirror, first for myself, then gently offered to others. Keep me tender, not hardened by experience, but softened by conviction. Let integrity touch not only my actions, but my intentions. Even when I do the right thing, help me examine why I do it, strip away performance, remove hidden agendas, reveal pride dressed up as purpose, and selfishness cloaked in service. Clean the inside of the cup, not just the outside. Let purity be more than a performance. Let it be my way of breathing. And in moments when no one is watching, when I am alone with my thoughts, my devices, my choices, let me live as though you are right beside me. Because you are. Let that awareness not produce fear, but devotion. Let it deepen my reverence, not out of obligation, but out of love. Let it shape the way I respond to temptation, not as a rule to follow, but as a relationship to protect. Father, this world is noisy with mixed messages and shifting values. What was once wrong is now celebrated. What was once sacred is now dismissed. In such a world, integrity may look strange, even foolish. But let me be okay with that. Let me embrace the quiet strength of being anchored, even if it means being misunderstood. Let me be loyal to truth, not trends. Loyal to you, not to what is popular. Loyal to values that outlive applause. As I go into this day, help me leave traces of integrity wherever I walk. Let people feel seen, not used. Let tasks be done with excellence, not just completion. Let time be honored, not wasted. Let choices be thought through, not rushed. Let decisions be weighed in light, not shadow. Let every corner of my life be touched by truth and lit by consistency. Let no part be left hidden, undealt with, unyielded. And when the day ends and I look back, let it not be measured by how much I accomplished, but by how faithfully I lived. Let integrity become the rhythm of my life, the echo in my words, the quiet peace in my decisions. Let it be the foundation that nothing can shake, the thread that ties together all my days. Even when others forget what I have said or done, let them remember how they felt in my presence, safe, honored, and whole. The sun begins to rise once more, casting its first gentle glow across the landscape. And as the light stretches across the earth, so let truth stretch across my life, quiet, steady, and unwavering. Father, as the morning light continues to unfold, and I strive to live with unwavering integrity, I realize how essential it is to protect the stillness within. Integrity may guide my choices, but it is in stillness that I hear your voice clearly. In a world that rushes me into reaction, that pulls at every direction with noise and urgency, I long for the quiet center, where you speak not through thunder, but through whisper. Let this be the day I protect that sacred place. The silence that is not empty but full of you. Lord, I confess that the noise outside often becomes the noise inside. The deadlines, the expectations, the opinions they echo within long after the moment passes. I carry burdens I was never meant to hold, thoughts that spin endlessly, worries that masquerade as preparation. Teach me how to pause, how to breathe in awareness, how to step out of the storm and into the eye where peace is not circumstantial, but rooted in presence. Let stillness not be a luxury, but a necessity. Let it be the anchor I return to again and again. Stillness is not inactivity, it is alignment. It is not the absence of sound, but the presence of clarity. When I rush without centering, I miss the nuance of your guidance. I act from urgency rather than wisdom. So today, before I speak, move, plan, or fix, let me sit with you, not just in the morning, but through the day. Let my heart return to stillness like lungs return to breath. Make stillness my rhythm, not my retreat. Let me move from rest, not collapse into it. Teach me, God, that stillness is not weakness but strength held in quiet. It is the confidence of knowing I do not need to rush, to prove or scramble to survive. When I make room for stillness, I make room for you. And when you fill the room, fear has no place. Doubt shrinks. Anxiety melts. Control loosens its grip. In stillness, I remember who I am, not who the world says I must be, but who I already am in you. Chosen, held, seen, steady. There are moments when everything outside demands speed, decision, defense. But I ask you to help me resist the tyranny of the urgent. When it tries to drown out the eternal, let me respond, not react. Let me reflect before I rush. Let me discern rather than default. Let me create a space between impulse and action where your spirit can whisper truth. Let that space be sacred. Let it be where transformation begins, not after the storm, but in the middle of it. When stillness feels impossible, when my mind is racing and my heart wants to settle, draw me in gently. Remind me that I do not have to earn rest. I have to enter it. You invite me to quiet waters, not because I have finished the race, because you know I cannot run well without them. Let me drink deeply, not only of knowledge or productivity, but of peace that passes understanding. Let peace become the soil where my decisions grow, where my character is nourished. Even in activity, let me carry stillness. Let it be the undercurrent beneath all I do. In the middle of conversation, tension, or task, let a quiet spirit remain within me, not silence out of fear, but stillness out of confidence. Let my presence not add to the chaos around me, but calm it. Let me bring presence, not pressure. Let me slow down conversations that are spinning out. Let me soften interactions that are brittle. Let me carry gentleness that only grows in still ground. Let stillness govern my inner dialogue. When self-judgment rises, quiet it with compassion. When fear shouts its familiar script, hush it with truth. When the past revisits with regret, remind me that grace is now. Let the stillness become the table where grace sits with me, where mercy speaks softly, and where forgiveness restores. Let me meet myself there, not with shame, but with honesty. Let the voice I hear most often be yours, firm, kind, steady. Father, I know that stillness often reveals what distraction hides. So if discomfort surfaces in silence, help me not to run, but to stay. Let me learn from what rises in stillness, the fears I have buried, the griefs I have ignored, the longings I have silenced. Let them come not to harm me, but to be healed. Let stillness be the space where I learn to listen again, not only to you, but to the deeper truths I have forgotten. Let me remember what matters, what lasts, what is real, even in the presence of others. Help me guard a quiet place inside. Let their noise not become mine. Let me listen well, speak slowly, and love deeply, not rushed, not distracted, but rooted. Let me stop multitasking my relationships. Let me look people in the eye. Let me hear with my heart. Let the pace of the world not dictate the pace of my soul. Let me be intentional, not just efficient. Let me be fully present, not just physically there. God, I do not ask for a day without demands. I ask for a spirit that is not dominated by them. I do not ask to escape the noise. I ask to carry stillness into it. Let this stillness be my protest against the culture of performance. Let it be my sanctuary when opinions roar. Let it be my wisdom when decisions wave. Let it be my worship when I have no words left. Let me hold this stillness like a lantern in the dark, lighting each step without racing ahead. And when fatigue tries to replace stillness with numbness, renew me. When I begin to equate quiet with laziness, correct me. Stillness is not escape, it is entrance into deeper connection. Clearer thought, fuller being. It is the invitation to return to center, to clarity, to you. Let me not resist this gift. Let me embrace it as vital. Let me schedule space to breathe. Let me prioritize reflection over reaction. Let nature teach me this rhythm the way a tree does not strive to grow. It simply remains rooted, the way a river moves but never loses its peace, the way the morning opens without announcement. Let the world outside teach the world inside how to return to harmony. Let stillness become my language again. Let my body remember what it feels like to not be braced for impact. Let my mind recall the sweetness of a quiet thought. Let my heart find its way back to soft places. Father, if I accomplish nothing extraordinary today, but remain inwardly still, let me count it as holy. If I speak fewer words but carry deeper presence, let me call that fruit. If I do not outrun others, but remain in step with you, let that be enough. Let stillness become the foundation from which I speak truth. Offer compassion. Notice beauty and live wisely. Let it shape not only my pace, but my posture open, calm, and available. As the light expands across the sky, I feel its invitation not to rush, but to rise slowly, purposefully. Let this be the way I move into this day, not driven, but drawn. Let the warmth of stillness remain with me, like sunlight on skin, soft but steady, quiet but full. Let it travel with me through the hours ahead, an unseen grace beneath every step. Lord, as I carry the quiet stillness you have nurtured within me, I begin to notice something else, how you do not rush anything into being. The dawn did not burst forth in chaos. It crept gently over the horizon, just as your voice moves gently within me. In stillness, I begin to understand the rhythm of trust, not the kind built on certainty or immediate answers, but a trust that leans into the unfolding. into the grace of what is yet to come. There is no forcefulness in how you lead me, only a patient invitation to keep walking even when I cannot see where the path leads. Father, I realize how often I have mistaken silence for absence. I have searched for signs, for clear instructions, for outcomes wrapped in bold letters, when all the while, you were already working in the subtle shift of a thought, in the warmth of a presence, in the deepening of peace that needs no explanation. Trust, I am learning, is not about seeing the whole picture. It is about choosing to believe that you are painting it. Even when I am still staring at blank canvas, the process is sacred. The waiting is not wasted. The unfolding is where transformation takes root. God, I admit that I like control. I like to know. I like plans and steps and certainty, but you call me to walk by faith, not by sight, not because you enjoy my discomfort, because faith stretches my soul beyond the edges of what I can manage. It grows my spirit into new dimensions, where I am no longer the architect of my own peace, but the recipient of a deeper kind, a peace that does not require full understanding, only full surrender. So today, I choose surrender, not as weakness, but as wisdom. I place my plans in open hands, not clenched fists. There is something beautiful in letting go of the need to figure it all out. Something holy in not rushing toward resolution. Trust invites me to linger in the unknown, not with fear, but with wonder. What might you be doing here, in this in-between? What unseen roots are growing while I wait? What gentle miracles are forming in the quiet, beneath the surface, where no eye can see but yours? Teach me to embrace mystery, not as confusion, but as the birthplace of revelation. Let me live in the questions without needing all the answers. I see now, Lord, that rushing robs me of seeing. When I hurry toward the outcome, I miss the beauty of the process. I overlook the way you unfold things with care, how you shape hearts slowly, how you guide steps one at a time. Let me walk this day not with urgency, but with attentiveness. Let me notice what you are revealing, not in lightning, but in layers, not in thunder, but in gentle wind. Let me become someone who trusts not just the destination, but the journey itself, even as I face uncertainties. Let me not be driven by them. Let them become opportunities to trust, not traps for anxiety. Let questions become doorways, not dead ends. Let the unknown become sacred ground, not something to escape. You are already there in tomorrow, in next week, in 5 years from now. And if you are there, then I can rest here. I can breathe here. I can live here. My worth is not defined by how much I can predict, but by how deeply I can trust the one who holds time. Father, you never seem to rush the seasons, yet they always arrive right on time. The leaves fall, not by force, but by design. The flower blooms, not in panic, but in patience. Nature trusts you effortlessly, and I long to do the same. Let me be like the tree that does not fight winter, but trusts that spring will return. Let me live in rhythm with your timing, not mine. Let me find peace in slow progress, in quiet growth, in steps that may seem small, but are saturated with your purpose. When things feel delayed, help me resist the lie that nothing is happening. Delay is not denial. Sometimes, it is protection. Sometimes it is preparation. Sometimes it is you making space in me for what I am not yet ready to carry. Let me not resent the waiting, but respect it. Let me not see it as punishment, but as pruning. Let me not push past it, but lean into it, learning what it has to teach me about trust, about presence, about becoming. And when fear tries to fill the gaps, fear of failure, fear of loss, fear of the unknown, remind me gently that you never asked me to walk this alone. You are the God who goes before and walks beside. You do not stand at the finish line calling me to hurry up. You are with me in each step, even the hesitant ones. You are not in a rush. You are in relationship. You are forming something eternal in a world obsessed with immediacy. Help me let go of timelines that are not mine to hold. Let me carry this trust into how I speak, how I listen, how I plan. Let me not offer hurried answers or shallow reassurances, but instead offer space for others to process, to question, to wonder too. Let my trust be contagious, not because I have all the answers, but because I know where to rest when answers do not come. Let my peace be an invitation to others who are wary of carrying control, who are tired of striving, who need a place to exhale. Let me be that place. Father, I do not need to predict the outcome of today to live it well. I only need to trust that you are already in it. Let me make decisions not out of panic, but prayer. Let me choose actions not to avoid failure, but to honor faithfulness. Let me measure this day not by its productivity, but by its alignment with your grace. And when I am tempted to take back what I have surrendered, remind me again that trust is a daily choice, not a one-time event. I choose again today. May trust become my reflex, not my last resort. May it shape my posture, my pace, my presence. May it soften my voice and steady my hands. May it guide how I respond to interruptions, how I handle disappointment, how I dream about the future. Let me be known not for how much I control, but for how much I release. Let me live open-handed, open-hearted, and open-eyed. Let me become fluent in the language of trust, where every word echoes your goodness. And when night falls again, may I look back not with regret for what I could not fix, but with gratitude for how I chose to trust, not in the outcome, but in the process, not in the clarity, but in the presence, not in certainty, but in the quiet assurance that I was never alone. Let that trust grow deeper with each unfolding day, until it is no longer something I practice, but something I am anchored, peaceful, and free. As the morning continues to stretch across the earth, I feel it not as a signal to rush, but as an invitation to trust the unfolding, to believe that even what I cannot see is being shaped by loving hands, to rest in the rhythm that you have already written, and to walk this day, not with certainty, but with confidence, not because I know what will happen, but because I know you. Father, as I continue to rest in the slow rhythm of trust you have been teaching me, something begins to shift inside. I no longer see the day ahead as a list of things to conquer, but as a sacred flow to enter. Yesterday, I surrendered my desire for control. Today, I sense you inviting me to something deeper, not just to receive peace, but to become it, to move through the world like still water, calm, present, unshaken, not because I am strong, but because I am rooted in you. There is a quiet strength in those who carry peace, not as something they wear, but as something they embody. And Lord, I want to live like that, not hurried, not reactive, not tethered to outcomes or praise, but anchored in presence. In a world that rushes, I want to slow down. In a culture that shouts, I want to listen. In places where anxiety is contagious, I want to offer a different atmosphere, one that speaks of trust even when the facts do not support it. One that reflects you, God. Help me become aware of what I bring into each space. Let me not just ask for peace, but carry it. Let my words soften tension. Let my posture diffuse fear. Let my presence give others permission to breathe again. I do not need to have answers for their struggles. I only need to remain unshaken in yours. When someone is overwhelmed, may my presence become a shelter, not a storm. May my calm speak louder than their chaos, not to fix, not to advise, but to simply be still waters beside their crashing waves. Sometimes, the most powerful ministry is not what we say, but how we stay. Help me stay fully present, fully grounded, fully open, in a conversation, in discomfort, in another's pain. Let me become fluent in compassion, not just in words, but in presence. Teach me to hold space instead of rushing to fill silence, to offer empathy instead of evaluation, to listen longer than I speak, to trust that you are working in their hearts just as you are in mine. Even if I cannot see the fruit yet, let my peace not be performance, but overflow. Let it come from a soul no longer striving, no longer proving, no longer clinging to a story that needs to impress. Let it be born from surrender, from intimacy, from knowing I am already enough in you. I do not have to convince the world of my value. I only have to live it gently, consistently, honestly. You are not asking me to shine brighter than others. You are inviting me to reflect the quiet flame you placed within me. There are people today, Lord, who will cross my path with invisible burdens. They won't always say it out loud, but their eyes will show it. The fatigue in their voice, the tension in their shoulders, the hurried tone masking deep unrest. Help me see beyond the surface. Help me pause, even in moments that seem small. A nod, a smile, a deep breath shared. Let me meet them not with answers, but with presence. Let that be enough. Let that be holy. God, make me less reactive. When someone's words cut, help me not to return fire, but to remain still. When someone misunderstands, let me choose clarity over defensiveness. When fear rises, let my response be grounded in truth, not panic. I do not want to be someone who escalates every moment. I want to be someone who diffuses, who brings light to the shadows, who stays rooted when others shake, not because I am better, but because I am held. Teach me to recognize when my own unrest is spilling into others. Let me notice when I am no longer carrying peace, but projecting pressure. And when that happens, bring me back not with shame, but with clarity. Show me how to reset in the middle of the day, how to return to stillness even after have been swept away by distraction or emotion. Let me find you again and again, not in a perfect moment, but in the returning, in the gentle turning of my face back toward the quiet where you dwell. Let me not confuse peace with silence. There will be times you call me to speak, to advocate, to challenge injustice. Let me do so not from anger disguised as righteousness, but from truth anchored in love. Let my voice not rise to prove my point, but to protect the vulnerable. Let my courage not look like volume, but like clarity. Let me never weaponize peace to avoid conflict, but let me carry peace even through it. Not passive, but present. Not avoiding, but anchoring. Lord, help me carry this posture into my relationships, the closest ones, and the ones I barely notice. Let me be the kind of friend who slows down when someone needs time. The kind of parent who listens instead of lecturing. The kind of partner who chooses patience over pride. The kind of stranger who offers kindness without agenda. Not performatively, but sincerely. Let stillness become my way of loving. Let peace become the shape my compassion takes. Even when no one notices, help me still choose the peaceful way. When others are loud, I can be soft. When others are cold, I can be kind. When others retreat, I can reach out. These may not feel like heroic acts, but in your kingdom, they matter. A gentle word, a steady hand, a quiet presence. These are seeds of heaven planted in everyday soil. They are not always celebrated, but they are never wasted. Father, I know I cannot give what I have not received, so let me start here again with you. Fill me with your peace before I try to share it. Calm the inner noise before I try to calm the outer. Teach me that I do not need to perform stillness, simply need return to the source of it. I do not need to chase worthiness to be a vessel. I only need to be open. Your spirit does not need my perfection, only my permission. Let me bring this peace into my work, not by working less, but by working from a place of rest. Let me bring it into meetings, into schedules, into small decisions. Let me bring it into waiting rooms and grocery store lines and emails and rushed conversations. Every moment becomes an altar when I approach it with stillness. Every place becomes holy ground when I carry your presence there. And when I feel overwhelmed, not just by what is around me, but by what is within me, help me remember I do not have to hold it all together. I am not the savior of any space. I am not the center of any story. I am simply a reflection, a mirror of your peace, a vessel of your grace. I can breathe. I can release. I can return. So I step into today not with a plan to conquer chaos, but with a desire to carry stillness. Not because I have mastered peace, but because I am learning to live from it. Not because I have escaped struggle, but because I am no longer ruled by it. Let that be my testimony, not that I avoided the storm, but that I carried peace through it. As the day begins to hum with movement, let my spirit remain quiet enough to hear you. Let the world spin without pulling me from your center. Let me remember that the greatest influence I carry is not in what I say, but in how I stay with you, with others, with peace. And as the light stretches further across the land, may I be like still water reflecting heaven calm, clear, and open to all who draw near. Father, as I linger in the stillness you are forming within me, I begin to understand that peace is not the absence of weight, it is the presence of you under it. Yesterday, you taught me to be still waters for others. Today, I feel you whisper a deeper calling not only to remain calm, but to embody a strength that does not shout, a courage that does not demand, a quiet kind of strength, one that walks into storms not to fix them, but to remain unchanged within them, one that holds ground not with clenched fists, but with open hands. God, show me what it means to carry that kind of gentle strength. Teach me that gentleness is not weakness, and that tenderness does not surrender truth. Let me hold both clarity and kindness in my being. Let my words not be weapons, but lanterns. Let my presence not be pressure, but shelter. In a world that idolizes force, remind me that the strongest people are often the ones who speak last, who pause before reacting, who choose to see beneath the surface. Let that be me. Lord, help me practice that pause today, not the kind that delays truth, but the kind that allows it to arrive with dignity. Let me pause before answering in frustration, before rushing to conclusions, before defending what does not need defense. In that space between emotion and response, breathe your spirit into me. Shape my instincts into grace, rewire my reactions into compassion. Remind me that not every fire needs my match. Some need only my stillness. When the world around me becomes loud, help me lower my voice and raise my awareness. When someone comes at me with fear disguised as anger, help me not mirror their chaos. Let me become a quiet mirror of peace. Not passive, but present. Not withdrawn, but anchored. Help me to see the pain behind their sharpness, the fear behind their judgment, the longing behind their pride. Let me respond not as a reflection of their energy, but as a reflection of yours. Let me become strong enough to remain kind when kindness is rare. Let me become grounded enough to remain open when others close off. Let me become patient not because I have no urgency, but because I trust your timing more than mine. Even when I am misunderstood, let my strength be found in restraint. Even when I am criticized, let my confidence be found in you. I do not need to prove my worth with explanations. I only need to live it with quiet integrity. God, in relationships that have grown strained or distant, help me not be ruled by offense or pride. Let my strength be willing to reach out, not for validation, but for restoration. Give me the courage to initiate peace without needing applause. Let my healing not depend on their response. Let it begin with my surrender. And if reconciliation is not possible, let me still release the weight of resentment and walk forward unburdened. You are the one who restores what matters most. There will be moments today, Lord, when I will be tempted to withdraw or react. When those moments come, help me stay rooted. Help me remember that strength is not found in overpowering others, but in remaining aligned with you. Let my convictions be steady, but let my delivery be gentle. Let me stand firm without building walls. Let me lead with humility, not the illusion of control. Make me strong in spirit, not loud in ego. Sometimes I fear that if I do not speak up, I will be unseen. That if I do not assert, I will be overlooked. But you remind me that my value is not given by others, and so it cannot be taken by them. You see me even in the silence. You honor me even when others misunderstand. You strengthen me not with noise, but with knowing. And in that knowing, I can rest. I can walk into rooms not to take up space, but to carry peace into it. Teach me to speak from a full heart, not an empty ego, to give from overflow, not obligation, to serve without needing credit, to influence without manipulation. Let my strength be gentle enough to hold someone's pain without absorbing it. Let it be bold enough to ask questions no one else will. Let it be brave enough to remain kind when kindness costs me something. Let it be soft enough to be safe. Let it be firm enough to be faithful. In a world where performance is praised, help me live from presence. Let my accomplishments not define me, but flow from who I already am in you. Let my ambition not consume my peace. Let my goals not override my grace. Let me hold dreams with open hands, trusting that what is truly mine cannot be lost. And what is not mine, even if it dazzles for a moment, will never satisfy the quiet places of my soul. God, remind me again that it is not always the most charismatic who lead, but often the most consistent. Not the most followed who leave a mark, but the most faithful. Let me be faithful today, not in grand gestures, but in small, steady ones. In the way I show up, in the way I follow through, in the way I listen, in the way I remain kind when no one is watching. That is the strength I long to carry, the kind that makes people feel safe, seen, and steady. And when my own strength feels thin, when I feel stretched by responsibility or weighed down by emotions I cannot name, help me remember I do not carry this alone. You are with me, within me, ahead of me. I am never without help, never without hope, never without the option to rest in you. Even when I forget, you do not. Even when I wander, you remain. Even when I fall short of the grace I long to carry, you do not shame me, you simply welcome me back into the quiet where it began. So I begin again this morning, not with a list of things to prove, but with a willingness to remain soft in a world that celebrates hard. Not with a plan to control, but with a heart open to being shaped. I do not want to become strong in a way that disconnects me from others. I want to become strong in a way that makes others feel safe to be themselves. That is the strength I believe you call me to. Not invincibility, but intimacy. Not control, but connection. Let me carry that strength into every interaction, into every room, into every word I speak and every silence I keep. Let my presence not strive to be impressive, but to be healing. Let the energy I bring speak louder than the arguments I avoid. Let the peace I carry shape the tone of the spaces I enter. Not because I have mastered peace, but because I keep returning to you. Not because I have all the answers, but because I trust you even when I do not. And as the light breaks across the edges of the world, remind me again that strength is not always forged in battle. Sometimes it is formed in surrender. Sometimes it is found in a breath. Sometimes it is carried in a quiet heart, open hands, and the courage to remain gentle even when the world is not. Let me become that kind of strength, quiet force of love, steady as the morning light. Lord, as I rise into the stillness of this new morning, I bring with me the quiet strength you cultivated in me yesterday. It lingers like a steady rhythm. Beneath my ribs, a gentle reminder that who I am in you matters more than what I accomplish. Yet today, I sense you are calling me to move forward with that very strength, not to hold it in, but to walk it out, to let it guide my steps into purpose, not driven by pressure, but drawn by promise. You are not only the peace that stills my soul, you are the fire that sets my path aglow. Father, teach me how to walk in the purpose you planted within me, not the kind that is loud or flashy, but the kind that is faithful. Help me remember that purpose is not a destination I must rush toward. It is a direction I commit to daily. It is the quiet choice to say yes when no one sees. It is the way I respond to the mundane moments, trusting that even the smallest acts of obedience ripple beyond what I can measure. Let me not chase significance. Let me become it through presence, through service, through surrender. God, help me to stop waiting for the perfect conditions to begin. Remind me that purpose does not wait for applause or clarity. It begins in motion. Sometimes it looks like showing up on time. Sometimes it sounds like asking one more question when I would rather walk away. Sometimes it feels like staying when leaving would be easier. Let my purpose today be less about doing something great and more about doing what is good with integrity, with grace, with you beside me. I know that I will face distractions, not only the obvious ones, but the ones that disguise themselves as good ideas, safe paths, or opportunities wrapped in ego. Help me discern what aligns with my calling and what simply flatters my fear. Let me not confuse bliss with fruitfulness. Let me not trade my soul for a schedule. Guard my time. Lord, make me a good steward of each hour. Let my efforts multiply peace, not just progress. Let my actions be rooted in wisdom, not restlessness. Show me how to live in alignment, not just with my dreams, but with my design. You made me on purpose. For purpose, that means nothing about me is accidental, not my story, not my scars, not even my limitations. Use it all, shape it all. Let nothing be wasted, even the wounds, even the delays, even the disappointments. Help me stop labeling parts of my life as useless when you see them as essential threads in the tapestry of your plans. Give me eyes to see meaning even in the mess. Lord, I surrender the need to always understand. I choose to trust instead, to walk even when the next step feels uncertain, to follow the light of your presence, not the lure of control. I release the idea that purpose is something I must figure out all at once. Let it unfold with each act of faith, each whispered yes. Each moment I choose love over fear. And when fear speaks, help me not obey its voice. Help me answer it with movement, even if my steps are trembling. Give me courage today, not just the courage to act, but the courage to believe that my life has value, even in silence, even in simplicity, even when no one notices. Let my confidence come from being rooted in you, not in results. Let my joy come from being faithful, not being famous. Let my purpose not be measured by the size of what I do, but by the sincerity with which I do it. When the world claps for shallow things, let me be content planting deep roots. God, protect me from comparison. It is easy to look left and right, measuring my steps against others. But you did not call me to their race. You called me to mine, and you are not impressed by pace, but by perseverance. Let me walk slowly if I must, but let me never stop. Let me grow steadily, even when the growth is invisible. Let me not despise small beginnings, for every great thing begins in seed form. Water what you have planted in me, and make it flourish in due time. Remind me that I am already walking in purpose when I love others without keeping score, when I forgive even without apology, when I hold the door for a stranger, when I sit with someone in silence, when I choose truth even when it is uncomfortable. These are not side paths, they are sacred steps. You are in them all. And because you are with me, no moment is too ordinary to matter. No action is too small to be holy. Let my hands be open to the needs around me. Let my feet be willing to go where others hesitate. Let my eyes see the overlooked, and my voice speak for the unheard. Let me live not for applause, but for impact. Not for comfort, but for calling. Let my calendar reflect my convictions. Let my dreams be surrendered, not silenced. Mold my ambition into compassion. Shape my goals into service. Align my desires with eternity, not vanity. There may be detours today, Lord, moments that feel like interruptions. Teach me to see them differently. Maybe they are the path. Maybe purpose is not found beyond inconvenience, but within it. When someone needs help, let me not rush past. When a door closes, let me not force it open. When my plans shift, let me not panic. You are not bound by my blueprint. Your ways are higher. Your timing is perfect. Your presence is enough. And if today holds moments of doubt, let me carry them to you, not to distraction. Let my questions become conversations. Let my silence become space for you to speak. Let my waiting become worship, even in uncertainty. Let my posture be readiness, for you move in ways I cannot predict. And sometimes, purpose walks quietly and on feet I did not expect. Let me be found listening. Let me be found faithful. Let me be found available. Help me release the lie that purpose is always tied to productivity. Some days, purpose looks like rest. Some days, it looks like saying no. Some days, it looks like healing before building again. Give me the wisdom to know what this day calls for. Let me honor my limits without guilt. Let me trust that I do not lose ground. By pausing, I gain clarity. Let rest be holy, not lazy. Let stillness be strategic, not stagnant. Let this rhythm of trust replace my addiction to hurry. Today, I choose to walk slowly enough to notice wonder, to listen long enough to hear hearts, to respond with thoughtfulness, not just urgency, to live as if every step matters because it does, not because I need to earn worth, but because I carry it, not because I am chasing something, but because I am being shaped into someone who reflects you, someone who bears fruit that remains, someone who walks in divine purpose as the sky opens to morning light. Stretch my heart with it. Let me not shrink back into old patterns. Let me not fear the path ahead. You go with me, behind me, within me. And though I may not know what this day will bring, I know who I am becoming, and that is enough. I am walking with you, step by step, breath by breath, moment by moment. And in that walk, I find purpose deeper than any plan, a purpose carried not in noise, but in the quiet certainty that I was made for this path. Father, now that I have begun to walk in the purpose you placed within me, I realize the path ahead is not only about moving forward, it is about becoming more like you as I do. The journey is no longer just about destination, but transformation. And as the morning light stretches gently across the horizon, I feel you asking me not only to walk with purpose, but to carry your likeness in the way I walk. Let me become a reflection of your grace, not in perfection, but in presence. Lord, it is one thing to know I am loved. It is another to let that love change the way I treat others. Some days, it is easier to protect myself with silence or distance. But you never withheld yourself from us. You came close. You stayed near, even when we turned away. Help me to carry that same kind of grace into my relationships, not fragile, not guarded, but open and patient and strong enough to hold tension without losing tenderness. Make me a mirror, Lord, not a wall. God, show me how to live out the compassion you have shown me, not in dramatic gestures, but in quiet choices. Help me to listen without needing to fix, to see without rushing to judge, to stay when the conversation grows uncomfortable, to forgive without waiting for the apology. These small acts become sacred when done in love. Let my life not be filled with empty gestures, but meaningful connection. Let every word I speak today be soaked in kindness that cannot be faked. Sometimes, grace means holding my tongue. Other times, it means speaking hard truths with gentleness. Give me the wisdom to know when to do which. Help me remember that being kind does not mean being passive, and being honest does not mean being harsh. Shape my words to carry healing. Let my presence bring warmth. Let my boundaries be rooted in self-respect, not bitterness. Let my silence be thoughtful, not withdrawn. Let my yes mean commitment and my no mean clarity. Father, I know that the people around me are not always easy to love. And truthfully, I am not always easy to love either. That is why I need you. That is why I lean into grace, not just the grace I need, but the grace I must give. Let me not see people only through the lens of my preferences or wounds, but through the eyes of your mercy. Each person I meet today is someone you created, someone you love. Help me treat them like they matter, because they do. There will be moments when I feel the tension rise, when irritation tries to take over, when my pride wants to win. Remind me then that winning in the moment may cost me the chance to love well. Teach me to pause before I respond. Teach me to breathe when I want to react. Teach me to look deeper, to remember that people are more than their actions. I do not know the weight they carry, but I do know the one who offers rest to all who are weary. Help me reflect that rest today. Let my posture be one of welcome, not resistance. Let my energy not be guarded and cold, but warm and sincere, even if I am tired, even if I am afraid. Let me meet the day with a heart that is willing to be inconvenienced, willing to be stretched, willing to show up when I would rather withdraw. I am not strong on my own, but I am never alone. You are my source. You are my example. You are the love I draw from when my own love runs low. God, I ask for courage to live as a person of grace in a world that often rewards hardness. There is so much noise, so many opinions shouted in anger, so much fear masked as strength. Help me not to become numb or defensive. Let me stay soft without losing truth. Let me be bold without becoming bitter. Let me move through conflict without letting it twist who I am. Let my faith be visible not in what I condemn, but in what I choose to build peace, patience, presence. I know that I will fail in this sometimes. I will miss moments. I will speak carelessly. I will act out of frustration, but grace means I get to try again. It means I do not have to be perfect to be faithful. Let me live in that rhythm today, not of shame and striving, but of repentance and renewal. Let my weakness not drive me to despair, but to dependence. Each time I fall short, let it be an opportunity to begin again with more humility and more hope. Father, let my interactions not just reflect kindness, but also integrity. Let grace not become an excuse to avoid truth. Let me be honest, even when it costs me. Let me apologize when I am wrong. Let me repair what I have broken, even if it is uncomfortable. Let me not settle for looking loving. Let me actually be loving. In quiet rooms, in long conversations, in choices no one sees. Let my character echo the grace I have received. In my work, let me show grace to the people who work with me and those who work for me. In my family, let me not demand perfection but model patience. In my community, let me be known not for having answers, but for being present. Let me not withdraw from people because of fear or difference. Let me lean in. Let me stay curious. Let me remember that grace builds bridges where pride builds walls. I want to build bridges today. Help me forgive without keeping score. Help me help without needing credit. Help me give without expecting applause. This is not weakness. It is strength wrapped in surrender. It is power channeled through gentleness. It is courage that does not shout but endures. Let me be that kind of strong. Let me live that kind of grace. Let my home be a safe place, not just for others, but for myself. Let me speak gently to my own heart. Let me not carry old guilt into new mornings. Let me release regret. Let me choose words that affirm rather than accuse. I cannot reflect grace if I do not receive it. Let me not chase standards I was never meant to meet. Let me rest in the truth that I am already loved, already enough, already chosen not because of what I do, but because of who you are. And when I feel unseen or misunderstood, let me not harden my heart. Let me not close myself off. Let me remember that you see it all. You know my intentions. You hear what I cannot say. You hold what I cannot carry. Let that be enough. Let me stop striving to prove my worth and instead start living from it. I want to be someone who carries peace into every room. Someone who leaves people feeling lighter, not heavier. Someone whose presence is safe, not because I avoid truth, but because I offer it gently. Not because I have no boundaries, but because I live them with wisdom and grace. This is not the easy road, Lord, but it is the holy one. Walk it with me today. Shape me through each moment. Use each encounter to sand away what is false and reveal what is true. As the light begins to filter through the trees, I am reminded that grace is not just a concept, it is a way of seeing, a way of living, a way of loving. It is the gentle glow that touches everything without force. Let me carry that glow. Let me become that light. Let me not just reflect grace. I want to be a living testimony of it, written in daily choices, spoken through quiet kindness, carried in the way I show up again and again, with love. Father, as this journey of morning prayer comes to its final steps, I find myself looking not for a conclusion, but for a beginning. Each word spoken, each breath lifted to you has not been a ritual, but a rhythm one that has slowly tuned my heart to yours. Now, in this quiet space, I do not want to close a chapter. I want to continue walking in the quiet miracle of your presence, where each day becomes a new opportunity to live from the foundation of all that has been planted in me. You have taught me how to be still and listen. You have shown me that strength is found not in noise or certainty, but in trust. You have reminded me that faith is not a finish line I race toward, but a daily invitation to show up open, present, and willing. Even now, as I come to the end of this prayer, I feel you saying, this is not the end. It is the next breath, the next sunrise, the next chance to walk in love, to offer kindness, to respond with grace. Today, I carry everything I have learned, not just the words, but the awareness, the clarity, the subtle shift in how I view the world. Now I know that sacredness is not always found in grand gestures. It often lives in the small decisions, the gentle tone I use when I could be sharp, the pause I take when frustration rises, the forgiveness I offer before it is asked for, the time I give even when I feel rushed. These are not ordinary moments. They are the quiet revolutions of the Spirit. Let me remember, God, that I was not called to impress the world, but to love it, not to fix everything, but to remain faithful in my corner of it. Help me to stay awake to the needs around me. Let me see the person behind the action, the pain beneath the anger, the longing beneath the silence. You have been so patient with me. Father, teach me to carry that same patience into every conversation, every interruption, every difficult situation I will face. There will still be hard days. There will still be fear, confusion, exhaustion. But I am no longer afraid of those moments, because now I know that you meet me there. Not just when I am composed and grateful, but when I am broken and tired. You never asked me to be perfect. You only asked me to come. And I have come. I have returned again and again to this sacred space. And I have always found you waiting not with demands, but with delight. So now, as I step into this day, I do so carrying the weightless power of everything you have reminded me of. I am not alone. I am not without purpose. I am not unloved. I am not unseen. I am chosen. I am called. I am cared for. And I am sent not to change the world in a flash, but to change the way I move through it. Slowly, gently, deeply, in tune with the still, small voice that now speaks louder than all my fears. Let my life become a continuation of this prayer. Let my actions be extensions of every whispered surrender. Let my attitude echo the quiet strength you have poured into me day after day. I do not need to chase after approval or rush toward certainty. I can rest. I can trust. I can plant seeds I may never see grow. I can speak words I may never hear echoed. Because this is what love does. It gives without needing return. It shines without demanding recognition. Help me be that kind of light. Let my presence soften hard places. Let my faith not be loud but lasting. Let my words not be many but meaningful. Let my steps not be hurried but holy. Let my joy not be dependent on circumstances, but grounded in something unshakable. Let my hope not be fragile but fierce. Let my peace not be the absence of struggle, but the quiet trust that you are with me. Still, I thank you for walking with me through every morning, for shaping my prayers when I had no words, for holding my heart when it was heavy, for staying when I felt distant, for leading me when I was uncertain. These prayers have not just been about me speaking to you, they have been about you shaping me from the inside out. I am not the same. I am softer, stronger, more rooted, more real. And as I go forward, I carry each lesson like a light inside my chest, a warmth I can return to whenever the day grows cold. I will not fear what is ahead, because I carry a history of your goodness behind me. I will not worry about who I must become, because I now know I am already becoming through the choices I make each day. I will not despair when the way grows long, because your presence is not only the destination, it is the path itself. Thank you to every soul who has joined me in this journey. Whether you whispered these prayers with trembling or with confidence, whether you came in hope or in search of it, your presence mattered, your heart mattered, and if these words met you in your silence, your sorrow, your searching, I pray they continue to live in you long after the last line is spoken. You are not walking alone. We have walked this path together, step by step, breath by breath. If your heart was stirred, if your spirit was lifted, I invite you to leave your reflections or your own quiet prayers below. Let this be more than a monologue. Let it be a community, a place where faith breathes together, even across the silence of distance. Let us remind one another that even in the darkest mornings, there is always light rising on the horizon. And if this series of prayers has spoken to you, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel, to share these words with someone who might need them, and to return often, not out of duty, but out of delight, because every morning, no matter what yesterday held, is a new invitation to begin again, to believe again, to breathe again. And as I close this final chapter, I do not close the story. I simply open the window. I step back into the day, carrying the stillness with me. The world outside has not changed, but I have. I am not in control of what will come, but I am no longer afraid. I have met grace in the quiet, and now I carry it into the noise. The sun is rising slowly now. The first light stretches across the sky, soft and golden. The breeze is gentle against the skin. The world breathes in and out, and I move with it quiet, steady, whole.